Okay, so now let's go to this block. This is where it gets a little more serious. It's not just people making TikTok videos. There are people out there teaching other people how to kill people. There are people out there killing people out there killing people that are their relatives that are dependent on them, that work at like when you say it's not rocket science, like these people working at the Bezos SpaceX competitor company, high aptitude, lefty kind of intelligentsia from Seattle. So it's not just like some random like redneck situation. The woman had too much meth and killed her dad or whatever, right? This should not be going on with people of this alleged aptitude, and there's a problem that needs to be sorted out. I mean, we're going to learn about it together right now.
Good morning, everybody. What is the MATGA movement, you might ask? Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. That would be the proof that we, again, are on the right side of things. And I mean that not in terms of who we voted for, but just in terms of like, you know, is this a thing that would ever be allowed in reverse? You know, like my absolute favorite thing is like, would this be allowed? So the men who support the big guy found out that their ladies secretly voted the opposite way. And so they're killing them. You're all, wait, they're what? They're killing them. Listen, they voted for the wrong candidate. They got to go, man. And again, I will say this until I'm blue in the face. Anyone who wants to debate, now I'm in the debate game, dude. I didn't realize I was in the debate game, but I'm in the debate game now. Anyone who wants to debate which side is more like the people who followed that big fascist guy in Germany in the 20s and 30s, the Democrats of their vote. I mean, I want that debate so bad. Give it to me. Give me that debate, dude. I'll eat them up, man. I will eat them alive. Okay. This isn't even moderately like it's so ridiculous, dude. It is so ridiculous. Good morning, everybody. How are you guys? You know, so we'll talk about that. Choke dealer, Mark, what's up, guys? All right. And then also, we're going to go through a couple clips of, these kinds of people like figuring in the mainstream media, figuring out like, oh man, are you saying that people hate woke? Wait a minute. Are you saying that people hate woke and maybe that contributed to what happened in November? It's like, geez, it's lucky I never said that. All people who were 100% full throttle wokesters are all, no, you definitely said that. It's almost ridiculous, MSNBC host, how many clips we could find of you promoting those insane ideas. But it's cute now that you've recognized that you're about to be out of work, and so you'll say whatever. All it is just it just shows that these people don't believe anything that they say, right? Like when it comes to like the woke stuff, we're going to talk about all that. You know, it's like the two different groups in the woke stuff. Okay, one are those people who will literally just say, like, we could start a new trend. Like if we could convince them that like wearing your underwear on your face, that's the new move. Like that's the new move. That's what everybody's into. We could get these dumbasses to fucking throw underwear on their face every day. Like they'll do or say whatever they think is the thing so that they can sit in their chair, talk into a studio camera and just continue to keep their job. Then you have absolutely like straight up loony bins that are like, I found out that my husband voted for the bad guy, and now I'm feeding him nightshade along with his coffee, and it's going to slowly kill his face. You're all, slowly kill it. What? They're all, he needs to go. He needs to die. Okay, sweetheart. But yeah, so that is exactly what we're going to do today. And then also I'm going to tell you guys a hilarious story about my own daughter repping the big guy at school. And like, it actually gave me an epiphany that we're going to talk about in this live stream too. But let's just run through this. Yeah. So in the wake of Tuesday's election results, some women frustrated by President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House are using a centuries-old metaphor about women poisoning their husband to channel their disappointment. So the Make Aqua Tofana Great Again, or MATGA, movement is a recent online trend in which some women humorously advocate for reviving aqua tofana, a 17th century poison used by women to kill and escape their abuse. Humorously. Humorously. That's funny. In Newsweek, that's humorous. Oh, get out of here. Gosh, these women finally found a sense of humor. You know, like they finally found something they think is funny. You know, they're so humorous. It's like these bitches have the sense of humor of a remote control that doesn't have batteries in it. Okay. Don't pretend they're joking. Okay. Give me a break. Even if they're not going to actually poison their husband, it's not a joke. They are living out a fantasy in their brain that they would love to be able to do because they're that angry. There's nothing humorous about joking about murdering your husband. You know, it's like, it's so ridiculous. Oh gosh, it's just so humorous. Newsweek. Hey, Newsweek, maybe you should figure out that this whole thing, you guys are finished. We're going straight into the 80s, okay? The 70s were garbage. The 80s were amazing. The 70s are wrapping up now. You guys, we let you guys run. Well, we didn't let you do anything. You guys were running things for a while. It was awful. The 80s are about to come in, and guess what? You know who's going to thrive in the 80s? People like me, you know? And people like us. All the people that are like in that little like niche of UFC, comedy, you know, the big guy supporters. Anybody like you guys and us, we are going to thrive, son. And it is going to be glorious, dude. Because no group has ever been begging to be trolled harder than those assholes that have been in our shit for the last however many years. You know, it's like, I really like said to myself, if we do win, you know, we'll have a little bit of fun and then like, you know, let's bring them all together. But the thing is like, they're still exactly the same, you know, like they're exactly the same. They're exactly the same. This is their trend. Hey, ladies, I just want you to know, I'm cut. I didn't even shave this morning, dude, but thank you. The fuck. Anyway, but yeah, they're like, I just want everyone to know that if you voted for him, we're done. We're not friends. I won't have you in my life. If you could be dead, I would be stoked about that. And guess what? F you. And you're like, all right, you know, I was down to just be like, guys, we all love America. You know, we all love America. But you went with, let's poison anyone who voted for the other guy. So, you know, listen, I'm not going to give into any violence. Like, we don't need to do violence. We're just going to troll you into the ground, troll you into the pavement. And you've earned that because that's what's up, dude. So I'll tell you guys a true story. My daughter. Okay. So, and this actually is a bigger kind of bigger deal than I'm making it out to be with my tone. Christy, thank you very much for the super chat. Love your show and make me laugh. Thank you very much. I think you're going to really laugh at this next portion. Right now, because I basically have it ready. Okay. So like I was watching this morning and the guy and one Van Jones on CNN said something about why they lost, which literally comes back directly to this point. Okay, ready? Listen to what Van Jones says right here. It's only a minute long. And then we're going to come back to the question about the election and the votes.
They were idiots. It turned out we were the idiots.
Over on CNN, there's a man who cries often. His name is Van Jones.
He used to work with Donald Trump, but to get the gig at CNN, you have to be overly emotive and back up, sort of reverse on everything you used to believe. But here he is explaining that, he does kind of get this one right. And that's his little trick. He gets some stuff right every now and again. That, the Dems sort of got outplayed by the conservatives because conservatives started using their phones and finding out information in new, curious ways. Ooh.
Here's how we got beat. We got beat because the Republicans and conservatives built a different media system that had to do with online.
Okay, first of all, they didn't build anything. They literally just recognized that everyone's on social media now. Okay, like they didn't build the cell phones. They didn't build a new media system. As a matter of fact, what they did is one guy came and bought one social media platform and just was like, "Hey guys, we're not going to censor you anymore."
Do with podcasts, had to do with streaming platforms, and they were spending their money there. We were laughing at them and knocking on doors in Philadelphia and Detroit. It's like, there's no Trump people. They're not dropping literature. They're not knocking on doors.
In fact, it was laughing like, oh, Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk, their PACs don't know what they're doing.
We were making fun of Donald Trump for having thrown away his ground game and doing some weird stuff online. We thought that they were idiots. It turned out we were the idiots.
You were complete idiots. Hey, how on earth could you have not figured that out when there are numbers of views next to the fucking screenshot? Like, you go on YouTube, it's all, this got 43 million views. They're all, oh my God. So I will actually go over the original story again. All right, so here you go. Any of you crazies, the anti-Trump women's deadly trend in the wake of the election. So fucking nuts, dude. As a matter of fact, let's look for a new article since we already went over this. Okay, so MAGA movement. Deadly MAGA movement emerges in U.S. after Trump's presidential win. Here's what it is. Make Aqua Tofana great again, or MAGA movement hits out at Donald Trump's popular Make America Great Again slogan. So here, this is actually much better. Let's go on social media and we will look at some of these women who have posted about poisoning people who are Trump supporters, because it is utterly insane.
Never gonna happen, sweetie. Your body, our choice. I got that. All day, every day, therapist, mother, maid, then a virgin, nurse, then a servant, just an appendage.
Okay, hang on. I'll read this because it's kind of small. All right. Okay, so this is her thing. Not going to happen, sweetie. Your body, our choice. You ignorant fucking idiot. God, that is like the most infuriating way of character. Like, look, man, you can disagree on abortion, but the idea that men give a fuck about controlling your body is so stupid. It's so stupid. Okay? That's not what it's about. They think they're protecting babies. Okay? Real men have the instinct to protect women and children, something your species has benefited from immensely, just like men benefit from women taking care of their self-destructive ways. Okay? When they are against abortion, they're against you killing a baby. They are thinking about the forthcoming baby. That's why they're against it. Okay? Doesn't mean they're right. Doesn't mean you're wrong. Doesn't whatever. That's what they're saying. Your body, my choice. Is so ignorant and so fucking dumb. Now let's watch this idiot's reel.
Never gonna happen, sweetie. Your body, our choice.
Okay, so it says, sure, your body, our choice.
I got that.
Oh my God. I just realized this this entire stream is going to get claimed by Eminem now. I'm going to trim that out actually so that they don't get it.
Am I right? Aqua Tofana. If you know, you know.
Don't act like you have a dude that would let you cook for them, you fucking rancid skank. Your body, my choice. Oh, cool. Oh my God, Eminem just ruining this, dude. I've got an idea, girls. Let's wear blue friendship bracelets. Aqua Tofana tattoos. Hey, listen. You know when you really need to take a threat seriously? You know, we're going to start killing people. And you know what? We're going to get tattoos, dudes. You know how? You want to know what that tattoo means? That means you've poisoned a man. And I'm putting this on social media because I'm definitely not an attention-hungry psycho. I'm really going to do this. I'm really going to do this. I'm going to kill them. No more my body, your choice. I'm going to kill them dead. Okay. What are you doing on social media then, sweetheart?
Y'all are weird. You think I would trust a man enough after everything I've been through to get me pregnant? I kill you in your sleep.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal. Don't pull out the 9.
So y'all running around poisoning the out of your husbands and shit? You know what? I don't trust nothing moving right now because y'all reckless for this one. Watch this.
Hi. Today, we're going to make Josh a drink because we're going to add some aqua tofana into it. Not poison.
I found out today that somebody that I work with is a conservative, and it's disgusting. But what's most surprising to me is the level of sudden hatred that I have for him. Sudden hatred for this man who I used to respect.
No, but genuinely, I was trying to think what revenge sounds the most satisfying right now? And I kind of just want to fling dirty tampons at men's cars.
The police report suggests that Corey, who worked for the aerospace company Blue Origin, entered a blind rage when Donald Trump won the election, deciding to kill her own Trump-voting father.
So wait a fucking minute. So they started another trend called Aqua Tofana and are posting videos about it on social media, including this app. And nothing's being done about it? We're still talking about those particular women over the election situation. So y'all running around poisoning the out of your husbands and shit? You know what? I don't trust nothing moving right now because y'all reckless for this one. Watch this. So y'all making clear, concise threats to unalive people and posting this shit on social media, and it's still up. I'm so confused. And still, again, no one is protecting the children also. And if you don't know what Aqua Tofana is, let me share this with you.
Hi. Today we're gonna make Josh a drink because we're gonna add some aqua tofana into it, not poison.
Y'all are weird. You think I would trust a man enough after everything I've been through to get me pregnant? Bitch, I kill you in your sleep. I kill you in your sleep. In fact, the minute I find out I'm pregnant, I'm gonna kill you in your sleep, and then I'm gonna go get an abortion. 2 people will be dead.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal. Don't pull out the 9.
How the hell is he supposed to get pregnant? A man can't get pregnant. If Big Mike had a sister, what are you talking about, Willis? Demonic. Are we sure that's a woman? Crazy.
I found out today that somebody that I work with is a conservative, and he's somebody who's really intelligent, and he's somebody who works in climate tech as a super smart guy, somebody I wouldn't expect now. And you are. I know we still have to get through life with these. I'm sorry, I'm gonna fucking hate him now, and that's just how it is. And tolerant, take a.
Leaving our dirty tampons everywhere. Because if men want so much control over us, they can deal with our dirty tampons. Clean it up. No, but genuinely, I was trying to think what revenge sounds the most satisfying right now? And I kind of just want to fling dirty tampons at men's cars, their trucks. Ooh.
Go! You disgust me! Go!
Degenerates, that's the only word I can think of, like. there's this comment, these people throwing biohazard materials at people are the same one who was screaming about coughing and saying it was attempted murder during COVID. Exactly. Nonsense.
If you're looking for post-election activities, I highly recommend flag burning, especially in ceremony around full moons or new moons. But flag burnings have been some of my best rituals. American flag burnings. I actually pulled one down from a sacred space once and burned that one. Wow. That ceremony, powerful. So, yeah. Very, very therapeutic.
I'm done with the bullshit. I'm done. If you voted for Trump, I think you're a fucking loser. I think you're stupid. I think you're a moron. I think you're evil. I think that you deserve to die by my hands. More specifically, by the rake that's in my hand that I'm using as a bludgeon on your fucking skull. You fucking loser. I'm better than you. You're a horrible person. You don't deserve air. Fucking kill yourself before I get to you. Do it. Kill yourself right now. Reply. Reply with a video of you killing yourself. Fucking loser.
I would go as far to say that I would purchase a Glock, and if you and I are walking on the same street and it's dark out and you're a white male, you have to be white for this to count, okay? If you're a white male, even if you don't approach me, I will shoot you. Yeah, I know. So, has to be on the street, you and I, has to be at nighttime. During the day, not so much, but at nighttime, okay? And you have to have very white skin, and be a male.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
How are you today?
I'm great, you How are you?
I'm okay. I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah, you doing good?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
You live in this neighborhood?
Doesn't matter.
You shouldn't be in this neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah. Do you have jaundice or something?
I shouldn't be in this neighborhood?
Guess what, Nazi? Go home.
All right.
You Nazi piece of shit.
All right.
Go home.
Stop shaking your hands.
Go home.
Step away.
Yeah, because I want to...
Step back.
You don't understand.
Step back.
Are you distraught after the recent presidential election? Here at Don't Cry Cryo, we understand your pain, and we're here to help. Our expert team of cryogenic care providers can cryogenically freeze you until the Trump presidency has ended. No more crying, no more anxiety attacks, just blissful sleep until Trump is gone. When you awaken from your slumber, we'll even have a party ready and waiting for you. It will be like his presidency never even happened. It was all just a bad dream. As an added bonus, you can choose the Vance add-on package. We'll extend your sleep for an additional 4 years at a 50% discount in the event J.D. Vance wins the next presidential election. Everything will be okay. We're here to take care of you in your time of need. So remember, don't cry, cryo.
Hey, my fellow ladies out there. So men think they own you. Take it from somebody that used to be a man. You got boobs. You got a vajayjay. Guess what, honey? You own them. Trust me, they want it. Make them earn it.
To the white women that voted for Trump, you should cancel that self-tan membership. I'm thinking. Any tanning membership. Why do you want to be brown? Isn't brown dirty? Isn't brown gross? Isn't brown like not what we want to be? We don't allow that in our country. You're brown? Girl.
Who ordered the appetite? Sorry, we're not doing this anymore. Half of the brown Americans voted Trump. They're still living in a delusion, man. They're still living in that.
named Corey Burke flew into a fit of rage, strangling, stabbing, and ultimately killing her own father, a 67-year-old man named Timothy Burke. Rest in peace. The police report suggests that Corey, who worked for the aerospace company Blue Origin, entered a blind rage when Donald Trump won the election, deciding to kill her own Trump-voting father. Police were allegedly called when the neighbors saw Corey, covered in blood, smashing the windows of her own house in a psychotic fit. The police report also notes that Timothy Burke was mostly homebound due to several health issues and that his daughter Corey was effectively his caretaker, which makes this entire situation even more tragic. Now, beyond psychotic killing your own father because he voted for Donald Trump, what makes this situation incredibly strange is that Corey, according to the media, is a, quote, power lesbian, which means that she's a wealthy, influential, and connected lesbian in the Seattle area lesbian community. That being said, Corey is married to a famous male-to-female transgender author named Samantha Leigh Allen, who is known for writing about various LGBTQ issues. Samantha is perhaps best known for their blog and their book called Real Queer America: LGBT Stories from Red States, which documents the struggles of gay and trans people living in conservative areas of the United States of America. Very interesting. It seems like one struggle of being a conservative person in a more progressive area like Seattle is having your psychotic daughter stab you to death. Now, allegedly, the police are investigating whether or not Samantha had prior knowledge of the murder or acted as some sort of accomplice. Only time will tell. The police report goes on to mention that Corey, after confessing to the murder, said that killing her own father and smashing all of the windows of her house were acts of liberation in defiance of the patriarchy. Try to make sense of that. Now,
just put her in jail, man. Like, what is that nonsense? Trying to justify anything by saying nonsense stuff like liberation. It makes me angry, but at the same time, I just don't know it. I'm really scared for these people who are actually losing their lives to these degenerate, crazy idiots. It's just scary times.
The reason why this story is worth talking about, beyond showing respect to Timothy Burke, rest in peace once again, is to highlight the real-world impact of characterizing Donald Trump and all of his supporters as evil, violent, fascistic threats to democracy. You see, it's this type of rhetoric that drives people that are already mentally ill and insane and psychotic, as is clearly the case with Corey Burke for a multitude of reasons, to carry out evil, violent crimes like this to your own father. So now Corey has been charged with first-degree murder with a looming court date on the horizon and is being held in prison on a $2 million bail, which is, in my opinion, nowhere near enough. In fact, I don't even think that bail should be an option in a scenario like this.
Yeah, that kind of money doesn't sound too much, as it was already mentioned. They're a power couple and probably would have good finances and could get out easily. I just hope she doesn't and gets the justice that is passed away father needed. And to make it crazy, the people supporting her or people around her would be trying to make her like a hero, like she did something heroic. And that's the message it will send her out, and more people will try to do the same thing. It's kind of scary if you think about it like that, but let me know what you guys feel about that.
All right, go ahead, pull that. Yeah, I think that's a real mark of cowardice, which also comes along with intellectual bankruptcy and violence. They all seem to cohabitate together, those three things. So cowardice, unarmed person who's a senior citizen being cared for, you're his aide, and you're going to take out your artificially created rage by the mainstream media within the confines of your mind on another human being and take their life. And then that person's also your father. I mean, I think there's some issues there. I don't know what type of screening Blue Origin does for its candidates other than judging them on their skin color and DEI qualifications and all that kind of good stuff. But I can see why he's not catching his own rockets over there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a wild one, man. Like, just these people getting ramped up over this. It's just shocking. Like, I never even heard of Aquatofana. I'm just wondering how readily available it is. Can you just order it or something? Like, what is there other applications for it? Like, what is?
Yeah, the story goes back. I believe it was a woman in Italy who had started poisoning people, and that's her last name was Tofana. So like that's the beginning of the euphemism. But we should do what other shows don't do. Let's go look it up.
Yeah, no,
Right?
I'm looking at it right now. I've been looking at it. It's like, can I just order it like on Amazon or something? Like, can I get some Blue Origin to deliver it for me?
I wonder how old this wiki page is. There's a Pinterest. Let's say Aqua Tofana. Here we go. Aqua Tofana. Well, it sounds good if you don't know what it is, right? It's like, oh, give me some of that Italian spring water, Aqua Tofana. Aqua Tofana. No, I was just being facetious for the transcript. Aqua Tofana, also known as Aqua Tofana and Aqua Tofania and Manna di San Nicola, was a strong poison created in Sicily around 1630, which plays into the Princess Bride never bet with the Sicilian when in games of risk when life is on the line. That was reputably widely used in Palermo, Naples, Perugia, Rome, Italy. Has been associated with Julia Tofana or Tofania, a woman from Palermo, purportedly the leader of a ring of 6 poisoners in Rome who sold aqua tofana to would-be murderers. Interesting. The first recorded mention of aqua tofana is from 1632 to 33 when it was used by 2 women, Francesca Lasarda and Teofania di Adamo, to poison their victims. It may have been invented by and named after Teofania. She was executed for her crimes, but several women associated with her, including Julia Tofana, who may have been her daughter, and Geronima Spana, moved on to Rome and continued manufacturing and distributing the poison. The trade name, Manna di San Nicola, the manna of St. Nicholas of Bari, may have been a marketing device intended to divert the authorities, given that the poison was openly sold as a cosmetic and a devotional object in vials that included a picture of St. Nicholas. Over 600 victims are alleged to have died from this poison, mostly husbands, between 1666 and 1676. The Marchioness de Brinvilliers poisoned her father and 2 brothers, amongst others, and she was executed on July 16th, 1676. The active ingredients in the mixture are known, but not how they are blended, allegedly. Aqua tofana contained mostly arsenic and lead, and possibly belladonna, which is a nightshade mushroom. It was a colorless, tasteless liquid, and therefore easily mixed with water or wine to be served during meals. So that's why you want to have your Life Straw, your Berkey, your Sawyer water filter, all these other good things. Be self-reliant in your own water provision is the new message of the self-reliant age. Anyway, don't be taking that fluoridated water, and don't take that aqua tofana water that the angry woman with the nose ring just brought you.
Yeah, I
Just
think
saying.
at this point, it's best to just distance ourselves from anybody that's in this cult, right? You know, I think whether it's they're poisoning us or they're gonna go buy a Glock, like this, the idea of her walking into a gun store and buying a Glock, I thought was hilarious.
The one that
I'm gonna
was
buy a
hunting
Glock.
white men, but it has to be under
Yeah,
specific conditions.
exactly,
Again, just make sure she doesn't have access to firearms. You don't have to take her away and Section 8 her or whatever the euphemism is, right? Just make sure that they're not actively out there hurting other citizens. I don't mind if she holds a wacky opinion. I just don't want her hurting people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
She has the right to hurt herself, and if she wants to have a baby, she still has that right too.
Totally. I just like how she's like, it has to be at night. I'm gonna come find you at night. And
You
it's
have to
like,
be
so
really
that's-
white-skinned, though, Scott.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Irish people be on watch right now.
I'm fairly white skinned. It's like sometimes I take my dog for a walk late at night, and I usually have something on me. And I got a new 38. That's a nice shiny like police special revolver, right? And I have this like cowboy.
Does it have a
holster
hammer
for
on it, or do you get the
Yeah,
one
it's a
that?
double. No, it's double action. It's like an old like kind of. It's pretty cool double
Well,
action.
because
with
they
a
make the
hammer.
ones that are hammerless.
Oh yeah, I know.
Right,
Well, I got a
so
hammer.
it doesn't snag and stuff like that.
Yep.
You know,
But what I'm doing is like when I go for a walk at night, I got the big cowboy holster, big leather cowboy holster, and I'll just have it there because it's nice at night because it's nice and shiny.
Yeah.
And so it's like everybody's like, maybe we'll go find somebody else. I'm like,
I think duster jackets go back in style.
yeah, there you go.
Old West.
Yep.
Where everyone was polite. Where everyone was polite because everybody was armed, and therefore, you know, that was a thing. People were polite. That's why a lot of people in the South to this day are polite, because they come from a heritage of people where if you're not polite, you're dead. People shoot each other, they stab each other, they get in fights back in the day. It was rough. The 1800s was. So coming from sturdy stock, maybe we shouldn't be so soft. It's almost like we've been artificially soaking in a whole bunch of victim mentality for growing on 100 years. It's gotten increasingly bad. It wasn't so bad even 20, 30 years ago. These types of symptoms were not there. If I went back in time and told people in 2002 that people at Yale and Princeton and Harvard were going to be having crybaby parties and milk and cookies and Legos and a whole bunch of stuff that you'd give to like preschool kids, I would say, no way. And then I'd find out like that's exactly what's been going on. There's a whole lot of lamentations. It's not just the book in the Bible anymore. It is a thing hosted at all these Ivy League and state schools and a whole bunch of other places where they've got the liberal rot. I call it the liberal rot. It's the first time you use that phrase, but I'll call it the liberal rot because liber is a Latin word that means book, and it's as a noun, and as a verb, it means to free or to liberate. You liberate oneself through education and books. Liberal is also having to do with freedom. And for the last 25, 30 years, liberals have not been about freedom anymore. It's about slavery. They like rebranded, but didn't tell their audience. And when liber is leading people to enslave themselves through believing things that are not true, it's no longer liberal. So we could take that word back. We can make it a good word again. That's why some people designate themselves classical liberals, because it used to be something that was libertarian, having to do with freedom and a concept that should not be antithetical to the American way of life in its totality. But as you see from those clips, I bet those people aren't real strong on the freedom right now for all people. That's another thing. Freedom's not just for one side. Freedom's for everybody. First Amendment is red and blue. Second Amendment, red and blue. Fourth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, 14th Amendment, red and blue. Everybody gets these things. And if you see somebody on the other side not getting those things, you owe it to them and yourself and your family and your future to stand up for other people in this country who might be having their rights deprived. Because there is no joy in having political prisoners in this country. I don't care who's in the office or what red team, blue team schedule is on the map for that season.
Yeah, exactly.
Political prisoners are not a thing that America should ever have. And there's a whole bunch of other un-American activities. And some of these activities were designated back in the 1950s with the Reese Committee and the un-American activities of nonprofit foundations that hold people of color in ill repute. They don't like them. They want globalism. They want global communism, and they know they need to use that demographic, so they lie to that demographic. Otherwise, they would be attracted to freedom, which all people naturally would be if they didn't have an artificial lens or, funhouse mirror version of reality going on between their ears. What we can do is compare and contrast. If they've been exposed to funhouse mirror, here's a real mirror. Which of these is more useful to you? I'll let you make the decision and stand back while you wait. Okay? There's no pushing, persuading, convincing, conniving, because freedom doesn't need it. We're the low pressure area. People who want out of the high pressure lies, deception, gaslighting, they come to places like Grand Theft World and the people whose clips we feature on this show. So this is the way that we can all learn how to grow together and outgrow the status quo.
Yep, absolutely. And it's like, because like I said, part of the joke, what I was talking about earlier, walking around with my cowboy gun, is like I live in as we've established, a very liberal neighborhood. Like it's just shocking, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, who would have thought that like my life could be danger out of these people, these like lisping.
But they got Aqua Tofana, dude.
Yeah, so it's like these people have been weaponized, and it's like I don't even, it's
they'll poison you quietly in the background.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like if they got any sort of whiff that, oh, there's a guy that lives down that street in that White House that he likes freedom. Well, we need to go take it out on him. This guy likes freedom. Like that's
and they
so
don't
shocking.
dare challenge you to a duel, so they would have to do the cowardly thing and poison you.
Yep.
There you go.
So yeah, it's a weird world, man. I say just disconnect, man. There's no. It's like, in a way, it's like 2016 all over again. They've been activated, and the mind viruses can continue
Google
to metastasize.
Was the biggest crybaby
like,
meeting back then. There wasn't other people on social media doing what they're doing right now. And I don't think the people on social media are doing it even of their own volition.
Yeah.
They have been prompted by various media sources in their life to do these things, and that these things are rewarded right now, and they don't see it, which is why we play it and put it in the time capsule, because otherwise people in the future would never believe that these things ever happened if we didn't put the evidence in there and really like encapsulate it in epoxy so that it stays rendered just like that for people in the future, because otherwise you get all these little clips of Colbert Show and Jimmy Fallon, and they can make anything look like anything to their narrative in the future, selectively edited. But it all goes away when you see things in context.
Yeah, and the divide is just gonna continue to escalate, I think. And it's just like I just am in my own personal life, I'm just not I'm involved in, like, particularly in the recovery community, you know what I mean? So like that's the one community where it's like a cross
Yeah, does
section of
addiction
every
care if
type.
you're red team or blue
Yep,
team?
that's the
It
one
doesn't
thing where
really.
it doesn't, but also, you know, it's like I've kind of I took a step back from this one community I was involved in because some people found out I had a channel on Band.video, and some of the people in there were not, they were fucking pissed. Like I could tell these people like legit hated me. And I had a guy I was sponsoring telling me that, you know, hey, these people like think you're like fucking terrible. Cause I was like, well, okay, well, I just went through 3 years of this out in Oregon, like being the bad guy in the recovery community because I didn't want meetings shut down. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, well, I'm not gonna go deal with that again. So I switched, started going to an entirely different fellowship. You know what I mean? And now I'm just like, I don't even want to be around these people at all, man. Which kind of sucks to say, but it's like,
But they do need help, and I think that side should help each other. Like, there's plenty of
I
Democrats who aren't
agree.
falling apart. Like Fareed Zakaria,
Yeah.
for better or worse, the dude from the CFR who speaks the Anglo-American establishment ease, right? And he told you all the real points. He's like, dude, this is how we lost. We did too much knob up on this and too much knob up on this and not enough knob up on this. He was just telling you, if they went through, if the globalists really could go through and reset and choose their own candidate and prime them, they probably could have won with that artificial nature that they drive extra votes for Hillary in 2016, all that other stuff that they did, right? They got the popular vote, but not the electoral vote. These types of things, these fortifications, they go on. And then he could also probably see like the people on the other end of his spectrum, all those people making death threats and all the nonsense, right? That's a function of the things he's pointing out. Like those are the symptoms of the root causes that he was like, these are the things we did wrong. So at least from that globalist standpoint, they're reacting to Trump still as a legit threat, which they wouldn't do if he was their guy and it was a rigged match, right? So as opposed to like Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, like what I'm seeing over here is that the other side really didn't want this dude in the house because he's not their friend. And now he's smart enough to surround himself with not just neocons and swamp creatures, which in a first term with the vetting process, unless you bring it in with you, that's the store you have to choose from for the people on that table. It's all New World Order, special orders, people. So I don't know. I'm optimistic. I'd like to see things happen in a good way that we don't know about. And oh, look, there's good things going on. Government efficiency, man, that's just like that's wiffle ball right there. You can't help it hit that ball. That ball's a beach ball. Like that's an easy one to knock out of the part. Big beach ball doesn't go over the fence too well, but it's easy to hit, and you can hit it far. That's my point. Government efficiency has gotten so much worse in the past 20 years. If you look at the charts, like they just keep greasing the people and telling us to take it. And I think that's over.
Take it. There it is. There it is.
There it
LD's
is.
the man, dude. LD's the man. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm just like, I don't know. I agree. I'm going to try to stay optimistic, but it just was brought to my attention that Trump today, just now, like 2 hours ago, is tweeting about how great Operation Warp Speed is. Again, dude. I'm like, God, dude, like I'm done with you, dude. I'm done. You should be.
I'd throw that out of your
not,
brag cards, bro.
I will.
The only thing good about Warp Speed from a meta level was it got the Democrats to come out and all be like, they would never take it because it's Trump's solution. And then as soon as it was their solution, everybody had to take it. And so that is just a good place to learn about hypocrisy in American politics as juxtaposed to the pharmaceutical funders of those parties, because that's what you were seeing. Trump took a lot of Pfizer money last time. Do you think he took Pfizer money this time? Probably not as much. I can't see him taking it. Right. So the first time, like he kind of had to pay he had to speak a certain line because those are the people who paid for his campaign. The second time, I think not so much. I think he independently went and found other people with money that didn't have such a poisonous agenda to your immune system. but someone should update him on that. And he could.
Dude.
That could have been like a Joe Rogan thing. Joe could have explained it. There's a lot of people that see things for what they were. mRNA was a DARPA DoD military project 10 years before COVID broke out. It also became the only thing that could close down the world was a novel coronavirus as of 2018 in the Pentagon pandemic planning documents. So this was a whole scripted takeover of your freedom from on high, above red team, blue team, because it was a global endeavor. And again, go back to Grand Theft World episode 7. Look at the first 10 exhibits that we put on the record. You'll start to learn your way outside the official narrative in a way that it won't fit anymore. You will outgrow your status quo with a little education.
Exactly. And it's so damning. I was waiting. I was like, okay, is Rogan, like, basically the litmus test, it would be if Rogan brought up the vaccine. If you just even put a little pressure on him on that discussion, didn't bring it up, didn't mention any word of it whatsoever, right? So that tells me that the Trump people probably told him ahead of time, you're not allowed to bring up this topic. Don't mention it. It's off the table. You can't discuss it. And the fact that Trump is still promoting that and using that as he's bragging about it, that's like, dude, that's he's in on it, man. He's 100% in on it. And I say Rogan's in on it too. At this point, if you're just going along with that, dude, Mr. Truth Teller, Mr. fucking, no, done with you, dude. I'm a single issue voter, dude. This is it for me. I'm a single issue non-voter, dude.
Yeah,
Trump.
Well, it's not your generation I'm concerned about, but there's a gap. Like there's some young people right now going into their 20s who have a great attitude and self-reliant mindset. They see kind of what was going on, and there's a group of kids that got trapped, and that group of kids is like in their 20s going into their 30s. There's like a whole decade of, I mean, you watch a bunch of incompetent dads on TV and they're all bumbling idiots, so you never picture yourself as having to be a strong, resourceful, self-reliant man who's a leader. And I feel bad that you had all that programming because it's not really useful to what you need to do probably in your life. And the good thing is you can outgrow it by learning that the people who did it, they wanted to emasculate you. They wanted to say things like toxic masculinity. Okay, I'll tell you what, there's a toxic masculinity test. You could take it. If a man had something to do with it, do not use it for 24 hours. Take the test. I would never make an argument against the femininity because there's too many things I like to do in life that women have a hand in. Okay, so I would never deny the other side, but that seems to be something that one side likes to do these things and like make mass generalizations based on specious evidence, which they retort over and over again, and they will not internalize new information regarding that topic. Their mind is already set up and set like epoxy after 2 weeks of sitting out there. It's hard as a rock and not open to absorbing anything new. That is not an education perspective. That's a perspective of self-imposed ignorance. And I think if we're going to have a fear that's healthy for us, that leads us toward freedom, I would cultivate a fear of ignorance. I've done so for myself. Once upon a time, I was really naive. I believed a lot of what they said on TV and the Wall Street Journal and all those places, and I thought I was an informed voter. And then I started to find things outside the narrative that were true, verifiable, substantial, and more relevant than that which they were telling me inside the narrative. And I started to ask questions like, how much more of this is out there? And after accumulating many thousands of books and many more thousands of pieces of evidence and artifacts that reflect a much larger, more detailed narrative than anything that the mainstream media has ever told you, you start to accept that as the shoe that fits. And the one that you've been wearing for all these years is one that was 3 sizes too small. That's why your feet hurt all the time, by the way. So you should check it out. So anyway, enlarge your mind, your perspective with things that actually represent things that exist in reality. Mental health issues cure themselves many times in those cases because they're artificially caused in well-meaning people who have empathy, and they just assume instead of asking a few questions to verify before trusting. So if you verify then trust, a lot of those mental issues that you're seeing in a lot of these videos go away because they would never believe such outlandish caricatures such as are purveyed, albeit repetitive, by all those mainstream media channels and the Comedy Central pseudo news outlets that they kind of have a monopoly on over there. But the path to wellness is in your hands. You have access to the internet. You know how to spell, read, write, walk, and talk. You can think your way out of the gaslighting.
Amen.
All right, that's my pep speech.
Speaking of Rogan. Speaking of Rogan.
Yeah.
No, that was it. I'm just saying, roll the next clips.
Well, here we go with we got a Truth Stream entry. There's two tonight, but this is the one that's most recent because it deals with the crybaby meetings at major universities. These people will soon be your leaders. This is the Mandarin class. This is the ruling class that graduates from these universities that need Legos and cookies and all sorts of coddling that no other generation in American history has ever even gotten close to needing, other than the people who met at the Google meeting 2016 after Trump won. That was the closest I had seen. This was surprising, disappointing. I guess it's a good low point from which to say, here's a rock bottom, and we can build up from here. It doesn't need to get worse. People don't need to get softer. I would question their ability to stay together in transit. So, we have Truth Stream. We have a Rogan clip just for you, Scott. And then we have a Media Tax Rogan clip that goes on from Ping Trip. So let's go to Truth Stream Media. Why are Ivy League college students being treated like babies now? I think it's an important symptom to get to the root cause of. Let's start right now.
Hey, everybody. So we're going to get back to our larger documentary projects because that's really where our hearts lie. And this whole situation that is unfolding is...
We have a secret language now, okay? And she's leaving us Easter eggs in our secret language.
It's like a train wreck. It is very hard to look away from it, but I think I'm going to have to because it's like staring into the abyss for real. But there's one more thing. I can't help it. We have to have this discussion because this is happening. Ivy League students, this is a headline and it's not a parody. This isn't The Onion. This is an actual headline. Ivy League students offered crayons, Legos, and cookies with milk to cope with Trump's election win. Harvard and Penn State are giving students the day off. There are professors at Princeton who are postponing exams. There are students at various schools who are allowing their grades to be changed later for the stress they have now gone through during this election. They're getting out of homework. They're getting out of class. And Georgetown University built a self-care suite. This is the level that things are at in Ivy League colleges. I don't even know anymore how much is being charged to these kids and their families for going to these very, very expensive schools that we're supposed to in our society revere as the most elite educational facilities we have. And this is the way that they are treating their adult students. You had professors at Columbia University and its sister school, Barnard, sending emails for people to take school off and take care of themselves. The classes are being canceled. And we just need to breathe. We all just need to breathe because it's so heavy. But they'll keep the classroom open for people to come if they want a space to reflect. An adjunct professor of international and public affairs at Columbia, who apparently served on the Obama administration White House Council on Women and Girls, canceled class and said, "Although I planned a tentative lecture on modern polling methods and their blind spots, it feels a bit tone deaf to deliver that today." You mean the day after an election? That is the perfect time to deliver a class on misleading polling methods. That's exactly the time you want to deliver that class. Why would that be tone deaf? Organizers at Dartmouth encourage students to be off the grid the day after election or come back to attend a decompression dinner. Bring a book or a craft to a listening circle for the supportive environment. About the reflections, they're treating these people like they're children. Look at this headline: Legos, cocoa, and coloring books for Georgetown students. At the McCourt School of Public Policy, officials are offering mindfulness options. Now look at this agenda. which comes from the school's director of student engagement. Tea, cocoa, self-care, a Lego station, coloring and mindfulness exercises, milk and cookies and Legos, snacks and self-guided meditation to recover from this. There are more educational activities taking place in preschools than this. I just want to point that out. Look at this. In recognition of these stressful times, be good to yourselves, check in on your friends. They're acting like 9/11 happened and it was an election. You know, I was in college in the 2000s. I was driving to campus on the day 9/11 happened, listening to NPR, wondering if the country was at war because we had no idea what was going on. And we all went to school. And did they offer us milk and cookies and Legos on 9/11? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They did let people go home, though, because everyone was very upset and we did not know what was going to happen. And thousands of people were dead. So it actually was a stressful event. An election is something that happens every 4 years. Every 4 years. This is going to happen in 4 more years.
Given the detailed chart
description. This is just reality in this country. That's how our election process works. And by the way, the Georgetown University McCourt School of Public Policy, these are people that are going to affect diplomacy in the future with these degrees. They offer undergraduate and master's degrees in public policy. It says right here on their website that their foundational skill set is based around things like critical thinking and engaging with bias. It actually says that here, that engaging with bias is having the ability to relate to and learn from people with different backgrounds and perspectives, and being open to evidence that may challenge your prior conception. But they obviously don't think their students can do so. They don't even think their students can handle the basics of an election, that they didn't get the person they wanted elected in the election. They're giving them milk and cookies and coloring books. And they did this at other schools too. There's many, many schools, like Missouri State University had a self-care no phone zone space with coloring pages, calm jars. I don't know what a calm jar is. Calm jars, coloring pages, and sensory fidgets. Northwestern University offered students a post-election wellness space with puzzles, crafts, games, snacks, and brain break activities. And Princeton offered art build processing space. Harvard Divinity School had a whole community care day, which included office hours with Sunshine the Puppet. Office hours with a puppet, okay? Because the election was so devastating for these people that it says many of us are feeling frustrated, scared, and uncertain, a whole mishmash of mostly not good emotions. I mean, you could pull that sentence off of here and you could put it in the mouth of one of those people that has puppets, like a puppet show, like Sesame Street. That's the way they used to talk to us when we used to watch Sesame Street when I was like 5 years old. And that's how they're talking to adults. Professors at Columbia are making classes optional and giving students passes on exam work, and they're giving people participation points in biology classes now, even if they don't show up. And they're allowing students to replace their midterm exam grades with their final grades if they do poorly, in recognition of the increased, quote, stress some of you might be feeling because of the election results. At Emory School of Medicine, which presumably is a school that teaches doctors how to be doctors, deans and administrators are sending emails to residents and fellows to check in post-election to ask if they have any feelings of anxiety about the future and reiterate that they are there for them during these challenging moments. They are treating these people like babies. They're treating them like little tiny babies. I went over to Yale trying to see what was going on over there, and I came across this article, and this is where I actually just stopped and went, okay, I obviously just am so in another reality that I didn't realize this is the level that we're at in this country. Like, I obviously just don't know where we even are anymore as an adult living in America in 2024, because this is a headline: Yale bleeds, champions menstrual equity and social justice on campus and beyond. What? Through workshops, art, and community partnerships, Yale's Menstrual Equity Organization tackles period poverty, challenges stigma, and confronts institutional barriers to access. I had to go look some of this up. Apparently, it actually just has to do with some people can't afford tampons, and so they're going to get it to where people can have those in the bathrooms on campus. Well, that makes total sense. They used to have them in the bathrooms on campus anyway. So I don't know what's happening now that we have to act like it's not equal anymore, that half of the population has a period. But then you go down in here and it's talking about how they're having abstractionist painting workshops using the colors associated with period blood, textures, and smells. That's a sentence. To facilitate engagement to focus on your identity as a menstruator. And that's in quotes, menstruator. And that they're going to do it the day after Election Day because it's really important to provide a space for students to process their feelings about the incoming administration and reproductive health. And tomorrow, they're going to have a uterus cookie making workshop. This is a thing. Look, this is on their website. This is reality. This is not an SNL sketch. This is real life. They're going to paint pictures with the textures and smells of period blood and then make uterus cookies at Yale. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Okay? As menstruators, which, by the way, as a woman feels incredibly dehumanizing to we're not going to call ourselves women anymore. We're going to call ourselves our bodily functions now. It's completely dehumanizing. I feel like it's completely dehumanizing and gross. I actually think it's gross, personally. But hey, you want to call yourself a menstruator? Fine. But I feel like it's incredibly dehumanizing. I mean, are people who, take dumps going to start calling themselves... You see what I'm saying? Like, we could do this all day. That's just a thing your body does. How is that an identity now? I don't understand this. I actually don't comprehend it. And so I'm going to use a word that I've been using all year, which Aaron says is now a drinking game in our house because of how many times I brought it up. But it's called...
Infantilizing.
Infantilization. That's absolutely correct. Infantilization.
I'm sorry, you're really lucky I didn't bust out laughing earlier.
It's a real word. And this is what these schools are doing to these people. These are supposed to be people, they are supposed to be adults. These are supposed to be adults. This is our future in this country at these Ivy League schools. And they're treating them like they're 5 years old or even in just preschool. So infantilization is a verb, and it means to treat or condescend to as if still a young child, to reduce to an infantile state or condition, to reduce a person to the state or status of an infant, to keep someone infantile, to treat them like a baby. That's infantilize. This is infantilization. It is institutional infantilization by just telling these kids that you should come have milk and cookies and play with Legos. You're actually giving them the message that that's how they should respond. That these meltdowns, that these complete breakdowns, these inabilities to handle reality are normal. You're normalizing this behavior. This is what you're doing as a school, as an institutional practice. You're normalizing the infantilization of adults, practically ensuring that next election they're going to act worse and be able to handle it even less. That is what is being done to this. It's actually a disservice. This is actually harmful. I think this is harmful. And you have charts being put out like this one, this map. If having a degree was a requirement to vote in this election, this is what it would have looked like. Because far and away, the vast majority of our universities and colleges are left-leaning institutions. You've had studies put out on this. Back in 2020, Democratic professors outnumber Republican ones 9-1. There was a whole thing that came out of the National Association of Scholars, and they talked about this, how this divide has grown rapidly. And it says the concern is grounded in research on confirmation bias, group polarization, motivated reasoning, and the tendency for these phenomena to be even more pronounced among the highly educated. Consistent findings from this work is that although the ratio of faculty who identify and are registered as Democratic versus Republican varies across departments, it almost always favors the Democratic Party. Secondly, Democratic to Republican registration ratio is typically higher among disciplines in the humanities and social sciences as compared to the natural sciences and engineering. Third, Democratic to Republican registration ratio has increased over time. It was 4.5 to 1 in 1999. Now it's 10 to 1 today among elite liberal arts colleges and social science departments. And that the partisan slant is the most extreme in the most highly rated institutions. So I don't know why it's being put out here that it's a measure of intelligence to say that if you send a bunch of 18-year-olds to extremely left-leaning institutions, they are going to emerge also left-leaning when almost all of their professors are left-leaning. Why is that a surprise to anyone? That is how it would go down. You're sending people there in their very formative years where they're very first becoming adults from children, and they're surrounded with extremely left-leaning partisan people. You think that's not coming across in their classes? Some of that was coming across in my classes even back in the day. But it wasn't as pronounced as it is now. So they're overwhelmingly liberal, and then, of course, the people who graduate from there become liberal. That makes sense. I don't know why, that's not a measure of, well, that just means that all Democrats are more intelligent. It means that the majority of our higher learning institutions are Democrat, and they're shaping the foundational views of emerging adults who are also Democrat after they leave there. Ashley St. Clair shared this map, actually, and she said, what do you call an institution in which everybody who enters it leaves with a uniform political ideology? I mean, that's what's going on. So now we're infantilizing people, and it's not just the people who go to these colleges. It's not just the leaders of tomorrow who are going to these Ivy League institutions who are coming out this way. You have MSNBC having a Yale University child psychology fellow going on the air. So they're doing kind of an appeal to authority, trust the experts type of deal by having a Yale child psychology fellow come on the air and talk to everyone, telling people to cut their friends and family out who didn't vote the way who voted for Trump for the holidays.
I think just a societal norm that if somebody is your family, that they are entitled to your time. And I think the answer is absolutely not. So if you are going to a situation where you have family members, where you have close friends who you know have voted in ways that are against you, like what you said, against your livelihood, and it's completely fine to not be around those people and to tell them why, to say, I have a problem with the way that you voted because it went against my very livelihood and I'm not going to be around you this holiday. I need to take some space for me.
And acting like that's an expert opinion, that it's normal to do that it's normal to cut out your family if they don't agree with you politically, which, by the way, is exactly what cults do. Cults isolate people from people who could challenge their views, who could challenge the views of the cults. That's straight out of the cult playbook of cult programming, to isolate people so that they're only around other people who share the cult's views. That's completely what that is. And they're parading it on the news as if it's news. This is a thing that's happening to our country. This is happening. I don't know what the answer is, but the other day I watched a video, and I'm not you guys know on this channel, TED Talks are not my favorite thing in the world because a lot of times they're formulaic and they do the TED Talk hands and it makes it very hard to just listen to the person who's presenting sometimes. Feels very contrived. But I did watch this Dr. Susan David. She was talking about emotional intelligence, and she brought up a really good point that I think needs to be considered.
I like being happy. I'm a pretty happy person. But when we push aside normal emotions to embrace false positivity, we lose our capacity to develop skills to deal with the world as it is, not as we wish it to be.
I think some of that is what is going on. I saw a person make a video the other day and they were saying, I don't know why so many of you on our side, meaning the Democrat side, I don't know why so many of you thought that people were going to vote based on their identity politics, when the average person who votes is voting based on basic things like, can I afford the cost of living in society? Well, they thought that because they're coming out of a very progressive university that's treating them like they're children who can throw a temper tantrum when they don't get their way. If I could make a 2 to 3 hour documentary right now with no commentary whatsoever, just putting videos up of grown adults behaving like children after this election and turning on cameras and screaming and crying and throwing fits and making threats and melting down in ways that I would have given my child a timeout for when he was little, if he had behaved that way. And they're behaving that way, and they're older than me. And it goes back to this. When we push and embrace false positivity, people are losing their capacity to develop skills to deal with reality as it is, and not the illusion they have in their minds. this whole love and light crowd where it's always good feelings and good vibes all the time. And there's no such thing as a negative emotion. There's no such thing as anger, frustration, and depression. Can't even have those. So when you do, it's so alien and all encompassing. You can't handle how to deal with yourself. You have no emotional intelligence to deal with your negative feelings, which, by the way, serve a purpose. And this society has spent way too much time making people think that if you have a bad feeling at all, you need to immediately go get a pill for that because you're not supposed to even have that. That it's not right to have those, but they're there for a reason. That is how you learn about yourself. You actually learn what's wrong and what's actually making you upset, and then you learn how to process those emotions and deal with them. And this society is like, live, laugh, love. Okay, well, that's great. And being happy is great too, but it's not normal to just be happy all the time. And whenever they tried to normalize that idea, I think that's when a lot of this mental illness became a serious issue. You can't reject the negative emotions and pretend they don't exist and not feel them and not experience what that is. No amount of milk and cookies is going to fix that. And so now you have huge portions of society who are projecting the negative things they refuse to face in themselves, their fears, their anger, their disappointment, their frustration. They're projecting it on the rest of society like their own personal Plato's cave, because the illusion doesn't match the reality. And when that happens, breakdown is inevitable. If you can't face yourself and your own emotions and truths within yourself, you're not going to be able to face it in reality either. But these universities are not helping by literally coddling and infantilizing these students. These are supposed to be adults. I can't believe these are headlines and not parody. Generations like mine, I've seen articles now that claim that if you were born in the 80s, like, you're lucky you aren't dead. Because we were just out on our bikes riding around for hours. Our parents didn't know where we were. I would say by the time I was 10 years old, I was past the milk and cookies phase for my bad feelings about things that were going on. So if that tells you anything, but this is not how we handled anything, even not that long ago. I do not know what has happened in this country that we've gotten to this point, but this is very, very dangerous to the future of society, actually. And I wish I had more answers, but we could at least start with the idea that emotional intelligence means a full picture, not just one side. And I guess I'm just ranting again, but I don't know. These kind of conversations need to be had somewhere, because this is insane. And it feels like it's just getting more insane. As much as people want to pretend like this isn't what's happening and be like, well, they just need to grow up. Well, they're not. They're not growing up. They're not growing up. They're going backwards. They're regressing. They're Benjamin Button, okay? And not even back into like a cute little kid, but into like a bratty, spoiled kid who has no idea how to handle reality. And this society for years and years now has really promoted the idea that if you're sad, that's bad, and you need to go take a pill for that or erase it instead of facing it and trying to figure out what is actually bothering you so that you can actually overcome that. We're not overcoming things anymore. We're just prescribing things and trying to ignore reality all the time. And that ignoring of reality may be what has gotten us here. You know what? As a society, we have to stop lying to ourselves. Reality is not a safe space. It will never be a safe space.
I don't want to try because I don't want to feel disappointed. Or I just want this feeling to go away. I understand, I say to them, but you have dead people's goals. Only dead people never get unwanted or inconvenienced by their feelings. Only dead people never get stressed, never get broken hearts, never experience the disappointment that comes with failure. Tough emotions are part of our contract with life. You don't get to have a meaningful career or raise a family or leave the world a better place without stress and discomfort. Discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life.
Yo, how fun was election night at the mothership? It was baffling, man. I mean, here I'll tell you, it was. I mean, it was crazy.
It was so much fun. We had such a good time. That green room was so positive.
Dude, my favorite part. At one point, they were playing that song. You talk about a revolution, and people were dancing. People were smoking weed. There was I think there was a baby smoking weed. Everybody was like. People were like, it was crazy, dude.
It felt.
Adam and Eve were in there. It was. There was just a lot going on.
It felt like America's brighter. That's what it felt like. We were moving towards this insane world where we're being controlled by liars. We're just being gaslit left and right. We saw it all over the media. We saw it all over the news. Things that were right in front of your face, they're trying to deny. There's just so much craziness. And then all of a sudden, the world spoke. Did you see the map of the actual country? Like how many places actually voted red?
Oh, no. I don't know if I saw that or not.
It's just a few cities. Even California was mostly red. That's what's crazy.
We had, I don't know if I saw that. I'm trying to think of what I saw.
There's a...
Oh, Tony was nervous, remember? Remember that, dude?
Tony better be nervous.
Dude, I kept just going up to him and going, Feliz Navidad. Get his vibes.
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
This is the one I saw. Jamie, I'll send this to you. It's got music to it.
This looks like when I got that hair surgery. You know what I'm talking about?
They play music in the background?
No, but it looks like that pattern.
Let me see that again. Yeah, it looks a lot like that, like a transplant. Yeah. Micrographs.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, man.
So what I sent you, Jamie, it just shows like the entire country. Did I show you? Look at that. That's crazy.
That's interesting.
That's crazy. There's no blue states, just blue cities.
Well, then why do you think why do you think the cities and states are so much different then?
Well, cities are always going to be blue. It's normal. There's a lot of factors. One of them is you have massive populations of people, right? And when you have massive populations of people, a lot of times it's based around universities. Like Los Angeles is slightly different because Los Angeles has universities, but really it's like more around Hollywood, which is equally delusional. But most big cities are flavored by a university. Like Austin is flavored by the University of Texas.
Yeah.
It's why Austin is progressive. Austin is, for people that don't know outside of Texas, Austin is one of the most progressive cities. Like if you look at, we voted in Austin, the city of Austin voted more for Kamala Harris than the city of Los Angeles did.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, higher percentage of Democrats voted for Kamala Harris than even Los Angeles.
I hope you guys are ready because the attacks on Joe Rogan from the mainstream media is just getting started.
We don't have the equivalent of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson. It's an elaborate multi-billion-dollar infrastructure, and there is nothing like it on the pro-democracy side.
First of all, pro-democracy side, that's funny, okay? Remind me how many people voted for Kamala in the primaries. Oh, that's right, nobody. And what is he implying here? Like Joe Rogan is the pro-fascism side, the pro-Nazi side? What the hell, man? These guys are so ridiculous. This looks like it's right out of the ban Alex Jones playbook that Brian Stelter and CNN ran back in 2018 to get Alex Jones banned, which ended up being successful. I don't think it's going to be successful on Rogan, but it looks like they're trying.
We don't have when a man is just lost and lonely and not yet radicalized, we don't have the equivalent of Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson to move that man in a feminist direction. By the way, we should educate men that it's actually really great to live with a strong woman who makes money. It's actually easier. Life is easier.
They love to paint like every Rogan listener as like some lost, lonely freaking incel in his basement with a shotgun under his bed, just moments away from losing his mind.
The media ecosystem it's not a good one. It's a negative one. It's a radicalization funnel. But what they have done in their online media ecosystem is build a radicalization engine, literally the way militant groups do around the world, that take takes people from relatively low-level annoyances with the world. Why are eggs so expensive? Why is my kid learning this new thing in American history in school that I didn't learn? And then moves them through YouTube videos, through podcasts, moves them from that annoyance all the way, slowly, to a full-blown fascist politics.
Why don't you just call it what it is, son? It's a Nazi funnel. They take a regular human being, right, and then they put them through the radicalization engine, and then that spits them over into the extremism tunnel, and then that spits them out a Nazi. This is how it works.
Literally the way militant groups do around the world.
Militant groups. Oh my God. So basically, Joe is like, he's like recruiting people into like the rebel forces, you know? He's like days away from like going into the jungle and waging guerrilla warfare against the people, against like the Democrats or something. This is so insane, dude. It's so insane. It's like now people just they want lower taxes and like less corruption, and they really hate you because you're a liar. But okay. Keep going.
It's an elaborate multi-billion-dollar infrastructure.
Yeah, and let's calm down with this billion-dollar operation nonsense. It's a podcast. Anybody can do what Joe's doing for next to nothing. The reality is people would rather watch a pothead talk for 4 hours than watch you lie to them for 10 minutes.
And there is nothing like it on the pro-democracy side.
Oh no, yeah, there's nothing like it. Like you don't have control of like all of the mainstream media except for like one channel. You got nothing like Joe Rogan. Yeah, you got nothing as authentic and as real as Joe Rogan, where you just sit down for 3 hours and have an unscripted conversation. What you have is a bunch of scripted propaganda that people have already gotten tired of and figured out that it's just bullshit. Maybe try reporting the news and doing it honestly. Let's see how that works for a little bit. But no, it's just, oh no, Joe Rogan is basically turning people into fascists. See, I'm telling you, this is the Alex Jones playbook. This is it. I watched all this shit. I made videos about it. This is the playbook they used to get rid of Alex Jones and silence Alex Jones. We have to pressure YouTube and say, YouTube, you cannot give in to the demands of these lunatics, that you start deboosting, throttling, whatever the hell they're going to call it, these podcasts. Because that's going to be the move. That's what they're going to be trying to get done. If not outright just banning people. But I don't think it's going to happen this time, boys. I think you bit off more than you can chew this time, dude. Oh, boy. Oh, you poor sons of bitches. Oh, and apparently MSNBC is up for sale. Its parent company is tired of losing money on their terrible programming.
So MSNBC is owned by Comcast.
All right, so I have good news and bad news for the Democrats. Because you're right, you don't have a Joe Rogan on your side. You don't have a Jordan Peterson, those type of people on your side. You're right. What should we do about it? Let's get in the time machine. Let's go back to 2016 when Joe Rogan was a Democrat and he supported a guy named Bernie Sanders, who was your elected candidate for president before you subverted your constituents, and you put in Bill Clinton's wife, who was involved in quite a lot of hot water back then and hoping for a presidency. So like, again, it's not about democracy when they break their own rules to shoehorn in preferred candidates over those that, Joe Rogan would still be a Bernie bro, and you would have never had Trump as a president in the first place because he probably would have won the popular vote and the electoral vote. And all your worst nightmares that you've been manifesting through taking actions based in fear wouldn't have happened or continue to happen. But what do you think, Scott?
That's such a good point. And, there was that photo going around today. I think it was like, what was it? Like RFK, Elon, Trump.
They were all
Tulsi.
Democrats.
And it's just like, yeah, they were all Democrats at one point. You know what I mean? So it's like, you guys have lost like the whole intellectual debate, period. And the only reason why you're even in the conversation at all is because of your censorship and the deplatforming of any other alternative voices. It's the only reason why your ideology even stands a chance of even existing in the realm for it to be discussed. But, when that little Oompa Loompa guy was talking about the radicalization engine, right? It's like these conservatives are steering people down the path of being radicalized. And it's like, no. You guys are the ones that radicalized all these people. Like, that's how I got radicalized. I wasn't radicalized by any of these, conspiracy podcasts. I was radicalized because of all the bullshit that these insane people, it starts at the media and trickles down, like from their narratives, their agendas, the things that were being proliferated by those entities, that's what radicalized me. I'll tell you that.
Too many contradictions. If you pay attention, the contradictions let you know there's an unreality there that they're, In fact, I'd go so far to say, now that you guys know what aqua tofana is, that MSM is aqua tofana to their audience. In addition to the gaslighting, they slowly poison them and they show sickness, just like they have had some sort of, internet-based poison introduced into between their ears, quantum computerness, and that was a series of words and emotions that got attached together that are not reflective of reality, and that's going to create a whole bunch of symptoms until you reconcile that. And they did that to their audience on purpose. So if you would take it seriously, if somebody poisoned the well, someone poisoning your thinking is equally as dangerous and caustic to your being. So they're not doing you a service. You might stop paying them homage with your attention and energy and belief in that system. But that's just, I'm not of the prescribing what other people should do mentality. So I just offer that as, pro tips, having learned for myself. Yeah.
Yep. Digital aqua tofana. That's what we're seeing. 100%, man.
That's how we would label that toxin in our system. And the other thought I had is, if you don't recognize the nonsense, I think you're subject to it. Nonsense, meaning if it's in reality, I can sense it. I can sense it. It's in reality. We could talk about it. It's substantial. It's meaningful. It exists. If it's not here and it doesn't exist, I can't sense it. It is therefore nonsense. A lot of what you see on these mainstream media, aqua tofana purveying channels is nonsense. Trump Hitler. Where is the evidence? Where's the tape of him talking about it? Where did he go to the cake? Whatever the meeting, whatever you're trying to blame him with, where's the evidence? People don't need evidence, especially like E. Jean Carroll. She got $100 million. Wasn't there a guy in the Alex Jones case who got $100 million? He never even said his name, had nothing to do with anything.
The FBI agent.
Right?
FBI agent, yeah.
Just people they're paying off.
Someone investigating the case should have no... there's no
paying people off with not real money. So they misled all those, in the case of Sandy Hook, misled all those families when the FBI went and said, if you guys sue, we'll back you and that sort of stuff, because they couldn't do it themselves. But it has been known that those parents didn't spontaneously align against Alex Jones, and it was a Democratic political hit piece that continues to go on today and to this day blow up in their face over and over and over again. So yeah, that happened. But there's some new stuff. I have an exclusive on RFK's new platform. I think it's very important that we get it into this time capsule tonight, because I guarantee you haven't seen this anywhere else unless you subscribe to Danny Polishchuk YouTube channel. We also have
I think I saw this.
Yeah, we also have the Democrat blame game. Students record viral rant where the MAGA hat teacher calls for help because there's a MAGA hat in his room. But these things are going on all over the place. And then we have the Daily Show. What went wrong? They have a diagnosis. I'm sure they're just going to get back to reality and reconnect people with reality and stop giving them so much aqua tofana. No, I don't think that's what happens. That's why we're going to include this clip this week and risk the copyright strike that comes with covering the Daily Show, because that's one of the most dangerous things we've been doing over the past month is we play some Daily Show clips and we comment on it because they're full of shit and it's psychological warfare study. But YouTube, they don't like that. But we do it anyway, and we post the clips on YouTube anyway, and we make YouTube do their job of censoring us, because justice may be on the horizon for people who use the internet and also have a bill of rights to back up their rights from now on. So anyway,
God, I forget that show's on YouTube. The show's on YouTube, huh? Yeah.
Well, we do it on a pirate channel.
Okay, so yeah, I was gonna say, because I just apologize because I literally I can't.
No, dude, we have it on Rockfin and Odyssey and Band.video and YouTube. It does go to YouTube, and we've had a LD set up the pirate channel, and it's been solid for the last year. They haven't banned. Really? So these episodes all go on YouTube, but if I did it on my account, they would be banned immediately.
Exactly. That's the thing. I stopped posting on YouTube a couple years ago because I just got tired of playing their games.
They are the new world order, but they're also the place that has the captive audience of the people whose minds need to be set free with the healthy information. So we have to like not be afraid to go on a battlefield here.
Yeah, and I refuse. I refuse to censor myself. Like I say all the shit 100%.
I say whatever I want.
I don't use cloaked language or the pokey poke. It's like no, all vaccines kill.
If we're going to talk about the allegations of Diddy raping Justin Bieber or J-Lo doing something to a minor with a bottle, we're actually going to say the words because we're free adult human beings who know how to defend our First Amendment rights,
100%,
among other rights that we know about. So anyway, we don't walk the earth with fear and fear no man because, you know, that's between you and your creator. But personally,
I would rather
human beings is not.
I would rather die a poor man with no YouTube ad revenue than censor my speech, dude. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
Exactly. So let's see an example of free speech. This first clip is called Satire, for the record. Let's go to RFK Jr.'s new platform.
As your new head of the United States Department of Health and Human Services, I just want to introduce myself and let people know what they can expect. Many people in this country think I'm some crazy kook, but I just want to make this country healthy again. With that in mind, here is what you can expect. Seed oils are now banned. If you're caught producing, consuming, or in possession of any seed oils, you will be arrested. Instead of being sent to jail, I have been in discussion with Elon Musk to create a new type of fat labor camp where people walk on treadmills all day at a reasonable pace, where the energy produced will be harvested and used to supplement the power grid. Also making fun of my voice or the fact that I have a worm in my brain that ate a part of it and died in my brain will also land you in the fat labor camp. I will also be working with the new head of the State Department, Marco Rubio, to ensure that no work authorization is provided for anyone to come to this country and deliver Uber Eats or DoorDash. You want to order that stuff, fine, but you're now going to have to get off your fat ass and pick it up yourself. You can expect fluoride to be removed from our water system immediately and replaced with low doses of Ozempic and creatine. Testosterone replacement therapy will be available for free to anyone wanting it. I want every person in this country as jacked as I am. That goes for the dudes or the chicks. Finally, I'm offering a $1 million reward to anyone that has any information that leads to the arrest and apprehension of Anthony Fauci. You can run Fauci, but you can't hide.
If you like that, make sure to subscribe and follow for more.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Follow and subscribe to Danny's Perfect Content.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I also approve this message. Give your boy Danny a follow. You heard?
Classic Kamala. Always copying me.
With the Democrat Party in shambles, the blame game continues, with some, like Nasty Pelosi, blaming old Joe for not stepping down earlier and for not holding an open primary, because then other candidates like Gavin Newsom could have come in, although Nasty is still saying that Kamala still would have won. She just would have been stronger. But what she really means is Kamala is the worst candidate they possibly could have had, and she wishes the open primary would have allowed Gavin Newsom to come in. Others, like MSNBC's ironically named Joy Reid, blames black and Latino white supremacists. That's not a joke. I'll spare you the clip. I played it in a previous video of my election coverage, so just go and check those out if you missed them. Others, however, seem to have found a focal point for their blame, which I'll get into in a moment. But first, this may be perhaps the most hilarious video to come out of the election fallout. It seems like a meme. I guess it is a meme. Unironically, not intended to be one. It's just an actual video of a Kamala Harris mural being painted over like the day after the election.
You gotta see me that one. My girl just lost a day ago. Like, damn.
And subscribe to my channel if you're new here. We just reached 1.9 million subscribers, so welcome to all the new subs, and thanks to everybody for sharing the videos. We got to bypass YouTube's visibility filter and shadow banning manually, so appreciate the support. This time around, they're very upset at podcasters, and especially Twitter, since Elon Musk bought it, and they didn't censor certain stories like they did back in 2020 with the Hunter Biden laptop October surprise.
And so one thing that I think stands out also, we can't have this conversation, a little bit to your point, Dana, is that maybe it's not so much Democrats policies or messaging or the words that they use specifically, but there is an entire right-wing media ecosystem.
Yes.
It doesn't exist on the left, and it does not exist in the center or mainstream, and people are getting their information in very different ways now. And Donald Trump and Republicans and Elon Musk and Joe Rogan know exactly how to reach Americans where they are, regardless of age and demographic, and that played a big role in this because of the fact of like whether it was disinformation, misinformation, or different propaganda that they were feeding to the American public that made them feel the way they did, and the American public felt as though that they were being heard by Donald Trump.
So according to her, it wasn't the Democrat policies, it was misinformation and propaganda that people heard through podcasts and on Twitter. It had nothing to do with the fact that the Democrats went insanely woke, that they welcomed, encouraged, and facilitated our country to be invaded by millions of illegal aliens and then stole our tax dollars in order to literally put them up in 4-star hotels and then brown small towns across the country by shipping them all over and paying for them to stay. It wasn't that Christians and conservatives finally got sick of the LGBTQ propaganda being shoved down their throat and mandatory celebrations at sports stadiums and in schools and in businesses. It was those pesky podcasters and those people tweeting on Twitter. And notice how she said there's nothing like it on the left or in the mainstream, as if the mainstream media and Hollywood and academia and government institutions and all big tech platforms except for Twitter aren't completely dominated and controlled and manipulated by the left. Jimmy Kimmel has been able to pull himself together a little bit. You probably saw the clips of him literally crying the day after Election Day, and he too is blaming Elon Musk for the whole thing.
Last night I shared some of my thoughts and feelings about what happened and how much I'm going to miss democracy and whatnot. And I heard from a lot of people about it, but none more prominent than the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, who this morning tweeted, Kimmel is an insufferable nonsense propaganda puppet, which at least my children like me, you know, it's...
One of Elon's sons, if you don't know, is now identifying as a woman and changed their name and is a literal communist and doesn't want to have anything to do with Elon. So that's a pretty low blow there by Kimmel.
You bought Twitter. You bought a social media platform that is literally a propaganda machine. Let me tell you something. If I spent 2 weeks trying to come up with a 4-word description of Elon Musk, I don't think I could do better than insufferable nonsense propaganda puppet. This guy is the New York Times is propaganda, the Washington Post is propaganda, the Atlantic is propaganda, NPR is propaganda, AP stands for Associated Propaganda. Good one, Broseph. Everything is propaganda.
Yes, it is, which is why one of the reasons Donald Trump did win is because he went on a bunch of big podcasts and had lengthy interviews with independent media outlets. Here's Laura Trump on Patrick Bet-David's show, which I do believe Donald Trump also did, talking about how Barron Trump, his now freshman in college son, was instrumental in convincing him to do some of these podcasts.
There have been many times I've been traveling over the course of the campaign with my father-in-law in the car with him going places, and Barron will call and he'll say, Dad, I have an idea as to how you can get more votes. And it'll be, you need to go meet, go to this baseball stadium or do this, whatever. Oh. He's always throwing ideas out there. And so, we got to give Barron some serious credit.
And Donald Trump gave Barron some credit when he sat down with Joe Rogan, saying this.
So I have a son who's very smart and tall, Barron, right? And he knows all about you. He knows about guys I never heard of. He said, Dad, you don't know how big they are. They're big. He told me how big. I said, who the hell is he? Like Ross. He said, Dad, he's a great guy. I mean, guys that are doing, it's a whole new world out there.
Here's Bill Maher, whose Trump derangement syndrome has thankfully went into most likely what is just a temporary remission.
All right. Do the Democrats need a social media platform, this is for you, John, of their own to combat the Republican influence on Twitter?
They already do. It's called Threads. It's called Facebook. It's called TikTok. It's called Snapchat. It's called every platform except for Twitter.
Well, I don't know, but Twitter, it's funny. It used to be completely left. Then Elon said, I'm going to take it over, so it's going to be 50-50 right down the middle. He didn't do that. It just switched completely. So I don't know. It's terrible that
switching completely, meaning Elon unbanned the tens of thousands of right-wing accounts that the old leadership under Jack Dorsey censored. So here is the clown's answer, who is a regular contributor on MSNBC, who has denounced me on MSNBC in the past, by the way.
Not only is Twitter not a real place, but it's become a toxic cesspool filled with nothing, not about right, it's not about conservative, it's just filled with misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracy theories. So,
oh, but you could get trustworthy information from CNN and MSNBC.
I would rather not have the left replicate that if that's what's required. I think the deeper question that the question's getting at is that if you look at the data in this election.
So they're trying to sound smart. If you look at the data, Donald Trump crushed it in all demographics because the American people thankfully saw through your lies.
The amount of reach of all of these alternative, I'm talking about the whole podcast space mostly, but also social media. The interviews that Trump did, not starting with Rogan, but Theo Vaughn and all of these other things he did, incredible reach compared to old mainstream media, right? Where, the number of people that Kamala Harris reached by going and talk to Brett Baer is a tiny fraction of, if you look at the average, not just the number of downloads, but then the social media plays on YouTube and other places.
Okay, thank you, Captain Obvious. This was old news back in 2016. The only downside of Donald Trump's victory over Hillary Clinton in 2016 was the soon-to-be algorithm changes that we all remember when YouTube then started boosting mainstream content in the search results, suppressing independent channels in the recommended on people's homepages, which is why my channel went from about 30% of the views from non-subscribed, which was pretty much the standard, to about 3%. But this victory was so devastating, and there were so many demographics that the Democrats thought that they had in the bag that went for Donald Trump. I don't know what they're going to do. They may finally, hopefully, have to just admit that their censorship and their propaganda and their ideas failed. There are plenty more meltdowns to get to. Women are now getting hysterectomies because Donald Trump won. The Democrats are trying to force Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor to step down so that old Joe can nominate a replacement out of concerns that she may resign or have some issue come up later in the next few years when there is a Republican in office, and then Donald Trump or J.D. Vance will then get to appoint her replacement. Mark Cuban appears to have deleted every tweet referencing Kamala Harris in a desperate attempt to try to memory hole the idiocy that he has been up to for the last few months. So subscribe to my channel if you're new here, and be sure to check back on a regular basis. Thanks to everyone for putting me over the top. 1.9 million subscribers. Now the long and difficult road to 2 million. So thanks again. Stay tuned, and I will see you soon.
Yeah, I got a new show for y'all. Teacher upset after student wears MAGA hat to school the day after the election. Yeah, it's a little too soon. No, it's never too soon for that. Check this story out. No, man.
To the presidential election, specifically to one of his students wearing a Trump hat the day after the election.
Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez is live with that story now. Christina?
Yeah, and it's interesting because even the parents who reached out to us about this were telling me that this is a very popular teacher, has been here for a long time. As far as anyone knows, has never had an issue like this until students in a class got this in their cell phones. Listen.
I'm pissed. People voted for frickin' this. I'm pissed off.
It's the voice of a Chino High teacher reacting to a student walking into his class wearing a Trump hat the day after the election.
Turn it off. Go back to your freaking seat now. Go. Take the. Can you send security up? Please, a boy who has a Trump hat on, and I'm not going to tolerate it today. Bye.
Unfortunately, this video is real.
The president of the Chino Valley Unified School Board of Education, which Chino High is part of, says they are looking into this.
Teachers are not supposed to bring their political views, whether this is, on something else or specifically on this election. It should never happen.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I have a daughter, 3 nieces. He raped them, and it's people are voting for him. The Christians are voting for him.
God knows what this teacher could be capable of doing in a fit of rage.
He's he's just one of several parents concerned about the teacher's behavior.
You cannot scream at a kid and call someone names over a political person. It's wrong, So I don't mind kids being corrected, but in the proper way, not over some political stuff.
I don't care. Fire the hell out of me. I'm fighting for my daughter, my nieces, their rights.
If this teacher unfortunately has to be the example of what not to do, we need to move forward and address this behavior. And then we also have an opportunity now to say, hey, no more of this. Let's bring the kids together. Let's not bring in our own personal views, and let's respect each other, whether it's political or something else. Let's have respect for each other.
Now, we did reach out to the teacher in question. He has not returned our calls or emails.
He's too busy fighting for his nieces and daughters. And do you hear what he said? If Trump would do them. That's what he said. Trump would do them. Yeah, that dude is not psychologically. He should be a teacher. He is not mentally stable. He actually thinks Trump. And then he calls security. Hey, security, kid there with a Trump hat on. Gotta get him out of here. Yeah, that dude's been brainwashed. Said he's talking about saying he's fighting for his kids. Said that. What's he fighting for? To keep Trump away from him, because he said Trump would do him. I bet you that kid walked in there. I had that MAGA hat, all right? I bet you was smiling. All the kids was like Lincoln's, man, this dude's wearing a MAGA hat today. Trump won last night. He came in there smiling. Yeah, I think he knew. I bet you it's white, too. He had all that white privilege going. Hey, Keith, I bet you knew that teacher was a lefty. Probably. Yeah, I'm gonna wear this damn MAGA hat. Just got it in the mail. I'm gonna wear this brand new. Got 45, 47, got the flag, got Make America Great Again. I'm gonna wear it, man. I'm gonna see this, I'm gonna get this teacher's response. That teacher went off. That teacher behaves like a woman. Yeah. Yeah, whenever you see a man that behaves like that, they're a Democrat. Behaves like an angry woman. Yeah, the difference between a man and a woman, like physically, we all know. But like when it comes to thinking, a lot of times a man thinks logically and a woman gets more emotional. It's because it's just because that's how women are. They're nurturers. Yeah, they take care of the kids. I think they're naturally inclined to be more emotional. Right. But when you find that in a man, you get that. Yeah. You get another, over a hat, you get another woman. You get a masculinized woman. Whatever that is. See, that guy, he's so easy manipulated. I mean, that whole rape charge with Trump, that was a civil trial, and this supposedly happened 40 years ago. Yeah. And we all saw the woman, how she carried herself. And she's nuts. Yeah, she come off like she's not all there. She's nuts. Yeah. It's not credible at all. Yeah. But how can you hold somebody accountable civilly for something like rape 40 years ago? There's no evidence. You gonna say that word enough or what? How many times you gonna say that word in this video? Well, I can't say that word. Nah, man. You know how the YouTube's algorithm is. Just keep saying it over and over. Well, he can beep.
So I think what they're figuring out is that people have a memory longer than 8 seconds. And even though you might not have ran on it in your recent electoral campaign, that has been the motivation and milieu in which a lot of people have had to swim since, 2020 COVID days. It's become really turned up since then. What did you think, Scott?
Well, the coping is just out of control, man. Like it's, but I get the same really eerie feeling with whether it's Bill Maher or Jon Stewart. It's like they're admonishing.
Which is the opposite of a peaceful, easy feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like they're admonishing their audience for having these views that they've been perpetuating this whole time. Like they're just flipping the script, man. But
which is another gaslighting, Stockholm syndrome, abusive relationships type of technique. Do they have a term for that when they flip the script like that? They told their audiences he was Hitler, and now they're telling their audiences that the audience is the problem, not the people with millions of dollars in budget and millions of people in their audience.
Yep. And it's a very interesting type of coping strategy. But like, here's the thing too. It's like people are allowed to change their mind, right? You see that all the time. Over the last 4 years, I've seen lots and lots of people.
It's called learning and education.
Yes,
actually.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But then there's situations like a Chris Cuomo, for example, who, they were one of the worst people when it really mattered. And then once the tension had been lifted, then they all of a sudden kind of jump to this side, and now they can
He's a
try to
chameleon,
pretend to be
yeah.
to be like a freedom person. And even like I would even point out like Joe Rogan, just he started going really hard when it was safe to. There was a lot of people that decided to really take a stand when it was once the coast was clear and it was safe to take a an anti-establishment stance.
Well,
But then
Rogan
this
found out firsthand, like he was probably more on their side till CNN colored him
exactly.
green to make him look like the Hulk.
Yeah.
And then he had to take notice.
Yep, exactly. So that's a point. That's a good point. But but all that to say that, like, okay, so now we see this with the Mars and the Jon Stewarts. It's like this isn't a product of them like having an ideological shift. They're not
No.
changing their mind. They're not growing. They're not learning. They're not taking in new information. They're just playing their role in this new this new dialectic. And as it's going forward, it's like, okay, now your job is to push this narrative that woke is dead. Woke is dumb. We're going to demonize that. And so people will start to get out of that because it's not politically expedient or advantageous for us to have that point of view anymore. And so we need to shift as a party. We need to get away from all these horrible ideas. Like they went down and listed all of them right there in that last clip. And it's like, okay, we're done with all that. And so now it's your job to just basically admonish the audience for having these beliefs, and they'll go, and they know that their audience will go right along. Like
and the audience
goldfish,
is used to being kept in an abusive relationship.
Yep, and they know the audience will just go right along, and they'll be like, "Oh, we're done with woke." It's like that meme where it's like the NPC. It's like, okay, pulling the chip out, and then the next one goes in. It's like whatever's next. The
current thing.
Current thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're just doing their role, and it's really sad, man, because it's like, they could be. They could be great, like Jon Stewart, like back in the day, man. Like, come on, dude. I remember back in the day, like watching South Park and like early South Park and Daily Show back when I was like,
they were more even-handed.
Like,
they were more even-handed up until like after Obama got in, and then the weights on the scale just kind of slid to one side to the point where the Daily Show doesn't even pretend that it has a conservative audience whatsoever. It only caters. It assumes everyone in the viewing audience is a Democrat or a liberal or a progressive or a communist or someone who doesn't fully understand their rights as a human being. Otherwise, you'd find those belief systems contradictory to your existence and probably thoughtfully oppose them. Because it's not something that people with informed choice make. It's someone who grew up in an indoctrination system, believes so staunchly that they can't look at new pieces of evidence that are more factual and actual than that in your narrative. That's the gist.
Yep.
So we'll just keep saying it different ways for people.
Yeah.
Because we're going to continue to examine it.
Yeah, exactly. And another piece of it too, like, the whole reason why like the DEI thing got so inflated. We saw like corporations, they didn't care. Like it almost was apparent that they didn't care if they lost money, like, the Pepsis and the Targets. And it's like they made it very clear that the DEI was the priority and that they were being subsidized by like a BlackRock. So they were getting money on the backside in order to carry out these agendas. So it's like as a capitalist society, we were in this weird place where it's like these corporations that answer to shareholders are no longer worried about putting out a good product or a good service. It was all about the agenda and the narrative. And I think that because that funding and all that has kind of been pulled back, it's like they're forced to go back to like just the foundational stuff of, oh damn it, we actually have to like put out a good product. Probably the media companies too. They're like probably losing all that DEI funding, and so it's like, damn, we actually have to like reevaluate,
make a product and do good customer service again.
Yep. But also because there's not this whole censorship complex, the censorship industrial complex out there to protect them and run cover for them. Yeah, exactly it.
Yeah, when you can limit one side so that they can't enter the conversation, then it's really easy for those big pharma companies and Albert Bortaint Borla to take his experience in eugenics and chemical castration and inject a gene therapy into unwitting people, many of whom were Americans who did not have informed consent, which I would see as a violation of their freedom. I care about it as an individual, even if they're not conscious enough to care about it right now. I know at some point they probably will become conscious and care about it. And I think we should make that a more gentle ride than leaving those people high and dry, which is Borla's plan, Pfizer's plan. They're doing it. They're doing it.
Yeah, I'm wondering what they got up their sleeves. Like this week, you see their stocks like Moderna, Pfizer. They're just crashing.
One can hope. It's a trend of some
I hope
sort.
so too, but it's like, what do they got up their sleeve next, man? They,
Although, I mean, there used to be the Catherine Austin Fitts commentary, how everybody's retirement's tied up in the stock market, and the stock market's based on like a whole bunch of black market, illicit drug arms sales, a whole bunch of nonsense, right? So she said, if there's a button and you could stop that, would you? Because it would also crash your 401k. If you're invested in your 401k and a bunch of nonsense that they're trying to inject people with gene therapies, get out of those stocks, because RFK is the new sheriff in town over at HHS. And I would expect those stocks to continue to trend. I'm not giving you betting advice. I'm just being a human being and sharing what I think is useful information that I would want if I was the holder of such pharmaceutical stocks, for example. But as we mentioned earlier, the Democrats had a real problem connecting with certain demographics. Conservatives also, like there's a whole demographic that I mentioned earlier tonight of young men in their 20s and 30s who don't know how to grow out of that infantilized mindset, how to outgrow their extended adolescence. And, I want to show you that there's optimism for the future, that there is a brighter hope, and that I think this next media block is like, it's an olive branch to young, potentially in the future, conservative men to see, that it's not all black pill reality, and that all these nonsense that you've been seeing on TikTok might have an equal and opposite that you might also want to check out and explore. So let's go to MAGA Girls Rise Up and such videos. The equal and opposite to the TikTok meltdowns. There are people who are not doing a whole bunch of things that are contradictory to their belief system, like 4B movement, which is anti-trans. So just keep that in your pocket for the next person who wants to bring that up, because you got to read the wiki page and learn the history of that South Korean movement of the 2010s. All right, let's go to the first clip. It comes from Benny Johnson, then we'll go to Mark Dice, then we'll go to Akkad Daily, because they do cover that 4B movement. We'll see if they get to the gist of the details.
I'm too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt. So sexy it hurts. I'm too sexy for your body. Too sexy for your body. The way I'm disco dancing.
What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. If we are guilty of one thing on this channel, it's that we are noticers. We do criminal amounts of professional noticing. Around here, we're alive, we pay attention, we establish patterns, and that's how we're able to interact wisely and smartly with the world around us. And we've noticed a pattern in the aftermath of the 2024 election result. And that pattern is that the left-wing women are very, very different from the right-wing women. And we're not the only ones who've recognized this pattern, but, well, see if you can spot the difference here.
I'm sorry! No! Why? Why? Do you really hate me that
bad? No, but maybe you hate you. Because you seem to have decided to live a pretty miserable life. There is no election result that would lead to me screaming in my car like that, like a raving lunatic. But the right-wing women on the internet are behaving quite differently than the left-wing women, and we're noticing some very different trends. Have you ever noticed how much happier right-wing women are versus left-wing? This should be studied scientifically, I said. People agreed with me. This post did 21 million views, 23,000 reposts, 187,000 likes. So I guess I hit a nerve here, ladies and gentlemen, with this video. Hey, they seem like very, very happy individuals. Right? These are just happy. These women are happy and are enjoying the results of the 2024 election. Clearly love their country. Now, I'm not the only person who noticed a distinct difference in the way the left wing and the right wing are behaving right now.
It's funny because as a female, like, look at the females compared to in right wing politics compared to like left wing, and like not only like in shape, super attractive, dressed well.
And then also, we have to, like, actually be smart and know our shit, because we're getting attacked 24/7, and then I'm just like, look at women on the left. Dear God. I mean, what country do you want to live in just visually at this point?
What country do you want to live in just visually at this point? I think a lot of women, this election, for a lot of women, this election was about beauty versus ugliness. The freaks lost. What's this? What is that? What does it say? What does that caption say? For every blue-haired, black-nailed liberal, there's a blonde, brunette, red-nailed conservative. Well, there you go. And there you have it. The differences, ladies and gentlemen. But the internet's filled with these differences.
My friend sent me a video about liberal women shaving their head, and I was like, okay, and now I'm seeing it all over TikTok, and I'm like, they're really doing this. They are really, and like divorcing their husbands and stuff, and I'm like, go for it, honey. Leave all the men out there for the conservative women to repopulate with, because we don't need this in the next generations. This is mental disorders.
Ladies and gentlemen, conservative women are commenting about liberal women shaving their heads and divorcing their husbands because Trump won. That's fine. Leave all the men for the conservative women to repopulate with. Well, that'll solve your culture war, actually. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is a culture war that we are, in fact, winning. Just happy people enjoying their lives, dancing like Trump. The kids are all right. Trump is culture. In fact, we've noticed a trend of these style videos completely and totally taking over TikTok. Trump girls have completely taken over the platform on TikTok. They're called the TikTok Trump girls, ladies and gentlemen, and this is, well, the hottest thing on the platform.
In order to be successful,
good morning.
People are well on the road to success. You have to find out what makes you excited, what makes you want to get up each morning and go to work. You have to find it. If you love what you do and dedicate yourself to your work, then you will gain momentum. And look, you have to. You need the word momentum. You will gain that momentum. And each success will create another success. The word momentum. In life, I always tell this to people, you have to know whether or not you continue to have the momentum. Never quit, never give up, do something you love. When you do something you love, as a scout, I see that you love it. But when you do something that you love, you'll never fail. What you're going to do is give it a shot again and again and again. You're ultimately going to be successful. And remember this, you're not working. Because when you're doing something that you love, like I do, of course I love my business, but this is a little bit different. Who thought this was going to happen? We're, having a good time. We're doing a good job. Doing a good job. But when you do something that you love, remember this, it's not work. You're going to work all the time. And at the end of a year, you're not really working. You don't think of it as work.
You look happier now, thanks, because Trump won. That's amazing. Oh, boy. But there's nothing that went as viral as this reasons why we're upset that Kamala won. Very, very interesting stuff here. Democrats' whole plan relied on their assumption that Gen Z women were dumb. Turns out they moved 11 points to the right in just 4 years. This is a one of the all-time trolls of the entire platform and the century. Here we go.
Get ready with us while we tell you why we're so mad that Kamala didn't get elected president. I just really was excited to see my future daughter get destroyed by men in sports. Would have been a proud mom moment.
I've never ever in my entire life wanted to be a homeowner or marry someone who wanted to be a homeowner, and so it just sucks now that houses will probably be a little bit more affordable. I just wanted to live in an apartment the rest of my life.
I wanted my future son to be able to use a tampon in a men's restroom without being judged, or just in general.
It just sucks to me that the border is going to have more restrictions now. I wanted drugs to be more readily available for people who really needed them in their life. I thought it was something that's good for our economy, good for the homeless population.
I was really excited to lose all these boys to World War III. Trying to get out of our hair.
I really wanted my third grader to learn about sexual reassignment surgery and stuff like that. I just don't understand why people wouldn't want their kids to learn about that. It breaks my heart that people want to keep that secret from their kids, teach them young.
You know, I was excited to keep paying $4 for gas. If you can't afford it, you don't deserve it.
I was really hoping that if Kamala became president, she would take back the abortion rights and put it in the hands of the government rather than the states. I just want my daughter to be able to have that option in case she does get pregnant in high school. I'm sure she'll be sleeping around. So.
You know, there's college. She has to go to college next.
College, yeah. I just want her to be able to have an abortion if she really needs it.
Yeah, like she wouldn't have to lift a finger if it was Kamala.
Exactly.
I was really looking forward to the motivational opportunity that I would get by going on campus to the women's restroom and seeing some male genitals. I would have been so motivated to study.
I know, I've gotten so excited.
Yeah.
I really just wanted my child to be able to have a transition and make that decision for himself whenever he's young. I don't think that he needs to be 18 to decide what he can and can't do with his body. He's literally knows exactly what he wants to do. If he wants to be a female, then he can do that. And
Trump, quit taking away our rights.
It breaks my heart that people think that they shouldn't be able to do that.
No.
Girls are mean. Girls, they're hilarious, and they're like actually mean. Like I was like, wow. Some of these responses are just completely and totally savage. And I mean, I should have known, right? I should have known it was coming. I watched what the Swifties did to Taylor Swift when she endorsed Kamala Harris.
Voting Donald Trump, baby. Voting Donald Trump, baby. Voting Donald Trump, baby.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a right-wing chick, and this is a Kamala voter.
Oh, no! 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 Why?
You spot the difference? Yeah. We're noticing a trend. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. And stay incredibly, completely, totally salty and based. See ya.
By now, everyone has seen the feminist meltdown videos from TikTok, or at least a tiny fraction of them. It would take multiple lifetimes to even begin to sift through the crazy content that they're publishing over there. But thankfully, there are also some, at least a significant portion of normal young women over on TikTok, the MAGA girls, who are some making fun of the lunatics in their generation, Generation Z, but also trying to talk some sense into them.
Get ready with us while we tell you why we're so mad that Kamala didn't get elected president. I just really was excited to see my future daughter get destroyed young.
And you may have heard about the rise of the 4B movement now in the United States, which the feminists on TikTok discovered somehow was a radical feminist movement in South Korea where the women swore off dating, marriage, sex, and having children. And thankfully, we have some normal young women in America trying to help the 4B movement here become a success.
This goes out to all the women who are now participating in the 4B movement. Congratulations, you finally figured out what abstinence is. You also figured out that it's kind of important that you want to have a good relationship with the person that you're having sex with, because when you're doing the act of procreation, there's a slight possibility that you might actually procreate a child. You also proved, though, that you are in fact using this as a form of birth control and not in the 0.01% of the two things that I cannot mention on TikTok. But I gotta say, pardon my French, but how dare you that you sit in America in all your privilege and shave your head and post some of the most horrendous, awful, evil, and just disgusting things that I have ever read and seen on the internet directed towards other women who simply just voted different than you.
My friend sent me a video about liberal women shaving their head, and I was like, okay, and now I'm seeing it all over TikTok, and I'm like, they're really doing this.
Yeah. I am so confused right now. The amount of girls that are coming up on my For You page talking about Trump has been elected president. Oh my gosh. We don't have any rights anymore. My grandma has
rights that I do. What the heck are you talking about?
Well, they've been infected with the liberal pathogen, which is a mental disorder.
What? I can buy a car. I can buy a home. I can go to school. I can get a job. I can do everything a man can do. I can vote. I can vote. I have the freedom to go onto this wonderful app and speak whatever I feel like.
Well, actually, you're still pretty young and got a lot to learn about the censorship industrial complex. But overall, you're making some good points.
You guys know how stupid you look getting on TikTok crying because Kamala lost? If Trump would have lost the election, you would not see one Trump supporter on the internet crying. You would see us getting our clothes on and going to work because that's what we would have had to do to take care of your asses just so you could have an abortion.
Let's just do a quick compare and contrast between the conservative girls, normal girls, and whatever you would call these people.
So last night, I told my mom and dad that because they voted for someone who wants me dead, that they no longer have the privilege of having their daughter and their granddaughters in their life.
Actually, Donald Trump is trying to save your life and others by preventing illegal aliens from invading our country and roaming our streets, while Kamala Harris literally welcomed them and doesn't want criminals to go to jail.
And I told them, never contact me again. I'm never calling you. I want nothing to do with you. And take me out of the will. I have a younger brother who is also a MAGA. I said, when you guys pass away, give him the entire house. I don't want to inherit your house. I don't want anything from you. I don't want to hear from you ever again because I'm no longer safe being in a relationship with you because I'm queer, I'm autistic, I'm like half disabled. I have Lyme disease and POTS and a bunch of other shit.
Stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome, among other forms of liberalism.
And I'm bisexual. I have 2 daughters, and my husband's also bisexual. It's like...
It's like, you just did your parents and your family a favor. The only thing left to do would be for Child Protective Services to take this woman's children and then put them with their grandparents, with her parents, in order to give them a normal home to grow up in.
All right, 4B movement starting. You know what we're going to do?
The same thing that you've been doing your whole life, repelling men.
We're not going to dye our hair anymore. We're not going to do makeup. We're not going to use filters. We're not going to go get the skin stuff. We're not going to dress up and look nice. Why? So that they can come and act like they own us because we look like this? Absolutely not. No, y'all.
Look like what? Some homeless person?
You want to fight? I'm ready to fight. Like, dueling, let's do this, okay? But at the same time, like, I'm sorry, you do not have control over my reproductive rights. You do not have control over my body. You do not.
We don't want to be anywhere near your body. We don't want to see your body. We don't want to hear about it. We don't want to see you at all. I mean, what's next? Are they going to start saying that they want to bring back the face diapers from during the COVID lockdowns as a way to hide themselves from society? Oh, wait, what's this?
Easiest and most effective form of protest you have right now that you can start immediately, put a mask back on. Stop letting them observe your face.
Please do.
And have the side benefit of better health and protecting the rest of us in the world. Put a mask back on. This government.
Now, this woman who was obviously overdosed on Botox, cheek fillers, and lip filler has a totally different idea about how things are going.
All of the MAGAs in our personal life are freaking out because we are no longer associating with them. We no longer want anything to do with them.
No, we're not freaking out. We're celebrating. Thank you. Goodbye.
There is not a single ounce of affection that a man will get out of me after this election. I'm not dating men. I'm not sleeping with men. I'm not talking to men. Y'all lost that privilege.
That's fine. You're what's called a lesbian, honey. Have fun. And if you want to have fun, order your Trump Claus sweatshirt from my online store, which is now back in stock, or your Liberals Tier mug, or any of my awesome designs. The store has just gone through a redesign.
The Lysistrata is a play written by Aristophanes of Athens in 411 BC about how the women of Greece tired of the Peloponnesian War that had been going on for probably about 30 years at that point, decided that they themselves would put an end to it by going on an intimacy strike with their husbands until they brought the war to an end. Now, I'm not going to tell you the details of the play because, frankly, it's not safe for work, and I'm trying to be clean on this channel, so I'll let you look up the details of it in your own time. But in the play it works, and eventually the men capitulate, make a peace, and are allowed to return to their wives. In reality, that's not what happened. What actually happened is that Athens was defeated at sea by Sparta, and eventually capitulated and had their walls torn down. But the point of the Lysistrata is to show that there could be some kind of sisterhood that could have political change, and that appears to be what we're dealing with now. Welcome to the 4B movement, which is apparently some kind of left-wing feminist movement in which women decide that they are going to abstain from having sex. Now, TikTok has been absolutely flooded with women, Western American women, who, in the wake of the victory of Donald Trump, have decided they are not going to have sex with men, they are not going to marry men, they are not going to bear children for men, etc., etc. And I find it really fascinating, because what they're threatening to do is essentially act in a conservative manner. Many of them were shaving their heads and saying, right, that's it, I'm swearing off men forever. But others were just posting things like this.
All right, 4B movement starting. You know what we're going to do? We're not going to dye our hair anymore. We're not going to do makeup. We're not going to use filters. We're not going to go get the skin stuff. We're not going to dress up and look nice. Why? So that they can come and act like they own us because we look like this? Absolutely not. No, y'all. The 4B movement means, like, we gonna be cozy, comfy in our own skin. And everyone over here is like, yeah, get strapped, get ready, get prepared. But you know what? It's fine. Let's go. Bring it on. You want to fight? I'm ready to fight. Like, dueling, let's do this, okay? But at the same time, like, I'm sorry, you do not have control over my reproductive rights. You do not have control over my body. You do not have control over what I do with my body.
Right, so to prove that men don't have control of what women do with their bodies, she's going to dress modestly, act modestly, and not present herself as being promiscuous to own men, and specifically to own conservative men. But this was the moderate view of the 4B movement. The more extreme view was women shaving their hair, filming it, and again, there were thousands of these on TikTok, in order to essentially divest themselves from having relationships with men, and therefore shaving their head makes them unattractive, which means men won't approach them, which means that they will effectively become a kind of modern-day nun, where they go off to the virtual nunnery and become brides of Jesus, or brides of Andrea Dworkin in this case. I'm not sure this had the effect that they expected, to be honest, because of course lots of people were like, well look, you're not going to act in a promiscuous way because you won't be able to get an abortion, which, I mean, that's not the case. Trump isn't going to ban abortion. The abortion decisions are going to be put to the states because Roe v. Wade was overturned because it was bad precedent, and so you will still be able to get abortions. But anyway, beside the point, they've got it in their minds that now Trump has won, Project 2025 is going to come into view, and that's it, no abortions, and therefore they're like, okay, well, I'm not going to be promiscuous anymore, as if that was a good thing. And so people are just like, well, you didn't have to. There was always an option not to be promiscuous and get abortions, actually, and in fact it would have been preferable. You may remember Hillary Clinton advertising abortion in the 90s as being safe, legal and rare. Well, that's what people wanted. They were like, okay, fair enough, that's the compromise. I guess it can be safe and legal as long as you keep it rare. And these women were like, why should I keep it rare? Which, I mean, sounds monstrous when you say it like that, but that's where we're at. And obviously lots of people began mocking this, being like, wow, you're on a sex strike. How terrible. Oh no, please stop. And the scary conservative Project 2025 men were like, we're not even in office and we're already winning. We're already getting the libs to do what we want them to do. So liberal women have agreed to stop reproducing. It's working. Remarkable. Just a remarkable turn of events. How as soon as you put the foot down and say, no, that's just it, and we're going to vote entirely no, essentially, to left-wing politics, then they start falling into line. Isn't that fascinating? And you get lots of feminists, such as Cecile Simmons here, writing for The Guardian. After Trump's election, women are swearing off sex with men. This has been a long time coming. Okay, hang on, calm down. This isn't actually the Liz Estrada reborn, or brought to life, thousands of years later. I mean, you say it's a long time coming. Yeah, 2,500 years, actually. These women aren't married, most of them probably, and maybe promiscuity isn't great. Just a quick thing. But what I enjoy is the way, I mean, most of this article is just her whining about rote feminist talking points that they've been repeating since 2014. And frankly, what's really interesting about this is they make it sound like MGTOW and the men's rights movement, Andrew Tate and various other misogynists, although maybe not in very quotes for Andrew Tate, have won. As far as they're concerned, no, it's complete victory for the forces of misogyny, and therefore now we're going to have to stop having sex with men. It's like, okay, well, I'm married, I don't care. It's not my problem at all. And she says, moving away from men might be a needed defense mechanism for women. I mean, this is why, through the Middle Ages, you had nunneries, you had convents, where there were women who didn't want to be engaged in relationships with men, and they would withdraw into religion. And this is the modern incarnation of that. And it happens to be part of the giant salt harvesting mission from the 2024 elections that we've been engaging in. In fact, if you'd like to engage in more of it, come over to lotus.com, go and watch our latest Lads Hour, which is about the total Trump victory, where everyone's getting put into the crystals because, I realise this lowbrow. Normally we do really highbrow work over at Lotus Eaters, but come on, give us a break. This is A, Lads Hour is like the View for Men, so we just have fun on it. And B, there was just so much salt, we couldn't not bring in the bountiful harvest. But I thought, okay, so this 4B movement, very interesting, very hilarious, great fun. But where's it from? And it turns out it's South Korean in origin. Now, I don't know much about South Korean politics, but what I do know is that it's completely racked by what are essentially Western culture war problems, and we seem to have completely exported modern feminism over there. It seems to have totally destroyed gender relations in that country, and now the feminists in this country are trying to bring back one of the things that they've developed, and the 4B movement is one of those things that they developed. So the 4Bs, as we are told, the B stand for the Korean word no, right? And they are no dating, no sex, no marriage, no children. Okay, go and join the nunnery. I don't care. If you are going to be that way, fair enough. And the thing that really gave this force in South Korea, as far as I'm aware, is the kind of strict patriarchal environment of Orient.
All right, so I'll just cut to the chase so that you guys have it for your records and you don't have to wonder or believe. This is the Wikipedia page for the 4B movement, which we covered in part last week, but we did not go to the bottom of the page last week. And if you go to the bottom of the page, you'll find the contradiction that is waiting for everybody who shaved their head and made a TikTok video, because they have a lot of transphobia and homophobia in that movement, which I think will be identically opposite of what the movement of people who are shaving their head and doing those things think they're doing. And this does tie into topics we have covered here on the podcast, like behavioral sync. And let's go to Clip Genie and let's give that a search. Behavioral sync searched in Grand Theft World episodes. We'll put it in quotes. Behavioral sync. Let's see if the AI can help us out. No results found. Let's do not behave. Am I typing it right? I can't see the screen. Let's see. Do we have a mention? Oh, episode 10, it looks like. Let's check it out. Behavioral sync?
Not quite.
No. All right. We must have used probably Mouse Utopia. Let's go to, and we're not going to search in the episode, so we're going to turn that off right there, and we can get to Mouse Utopia references.
I did get a behavioral sync.
I thought we had an episode. We have an episode called Behavioral Sync, for Christ's sake.
If you get rid of the quotes, it's there.
Yeah. Okay, so I was going to say, I thought we did. So it's episode 50, and here's the references, and it does relate to Mouse Utopia, so we were about to find it with the other search, but there's a reason that our podcast is searchable because we actually want you to find the non-contradictory information we've laid out for you in the past. I bet you CNN or MSNBC or Colbert Report would not want you searching about what they've said because they're so wishy-washy. But since we make our thing about non-contradictory news, you're free to go back and check it out. And I bet those views would still hold true today because they are reflective of reality, something that the audiences of the, what was it, Aqua Tofana mainstream media doesn't get. The Aqua Tofana media. We're going to have to do more explanation. All right. So behavioral sync, 4B movement. Next. We're past that now. All right, so that's good. What commentary might you yield after seeing that collection of responses?
Well, I mean, that's such an interesting observation. I mean, they're going to run into that brick wall and be like, oh, damn, we screwed up. And you know what else they're going to screw up? And that's going to be really funny. But if they're all not having all of this promiscuous sex, they're not going to be having all of these pregnancies. They're not going to be having all these abortions. And Planned Parenthood might go out of business. So this might actually be a win for, for the conservatives after all, because Planned Parenthood won't have any babies to abort. So
Margaret Sanger's racist, eugenic views might no longer precipitate in urban blue areas where Planned Parenthood has. Like, if you look at a map of Kamala voters and you look at a map of Planned Parenthood, there might be a strong overlap. My question would be, why are Democrats so keen on having access to black populations and the Ma'afa genocide type of technique that's been used on a group that's been held captive well past the Civil War by the Democratic Party? But that's just history. And if you read it, it's no longer a mystery. That's the tip.
Everyone's doing some kind of self-help these days, and you can find a million self-help courses out there. Most other courses out there are hosting lectures. They're hosting videos, they're maybe even doing Q&As, and these are great starting points to encourage learning. But at Autonomy, we believe that hands-on practice is the best way to really lock in what we're learning. There's no better way to gain confidence and mastery than through action. After each lecture, we practice the concepts we've learned with other students, giving and receiving feedback in a non-judgmental environment. The result is mastery of concepts like entrepreneurship, ethical sales, and self-reliance in an environment that directly translates to the real world. Plus, you make connections with other like-minded individuals who are learning right alongside you, and you have a lifetime membership in the community. The Autonomy course with Richard Grove equips you with confidence, competence, and courage in a world filled with confusion and noise. You can learn more at getautonomy.info. We'll see you there.
What makes the Grand Theft World podcast unique, invigorating, exciting, and informative? Most other podcasts out there are either doing straight up interviews or they're just covering the daily news. They're covering current events from the day they happened. And that is effective. It's useful. It's a great starting point. And then sometimes these current events change during the week past the first story. So we like to give it a little time. You have to wait till some of the dust settles on these stories in order to give them accurate coverage. And the other thing that's really missing in the media landscape is covering the articles that are coming out every day. That's great. That's necessary. But who's bringing in contextual history so that you can understand what has been going on for decades and decades to lead up to the machinations and actions that we see unfolding today? So what we do here on the podcast is we cover current events. Many of these things are censored, but we wait about a week. As a forensic historian, I focused mainly through my career on the history of globalism and collectivism and things that they call maybe the New World Order. There's a lot of facts to these sort of circumstances, groups, events, activities, working groups that they've had over time. So for Grand Theft World listeners, we not only break down the current events, most of which that are censored during the week, we provide you with contextual history, we give you the source notes, the references, we do deep dives, And this really empowers you with an understanding of context and history so that you can make more informed decisions in your life. There's also a community, a membership where you guys can actually ask questions and we can get into the show and we can share evidence. And there's a town hall weekly for Grand Theft World for those who listen to it and are interested in covering the stories that we don't get to during a 6-hour show. Listening to it an hour a day, you could easily consume the week's news, but you're going to have substance and meaning and context and understanding. And with that, you can make higher quality decisions in your life. So if you're interested in more quality in your life, go to grandtheftworld.com, click podcast at the top, and we'll see you there. Thank you.
These allegations are false.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
What are the most surprising things that you discovered once you started pulling on that thread? Who he was connected to, what institutions he was influential over, what events he participated in?
Come on, man. What are we talking about? Come on, man. No.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
I got this quote because you said you didn't know much about Klaus Schwab. I made it my job to, as soon as this happened, I'm like, okay, this guy's their front man. Let me learn about the official history of the World Economic Forum. I got their 40-year history. I got every book that Klaus Schwab has written or ghostwritten. I went through those books. This is one of the most interesting passages.
Come on, man. Come on.